Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Sunday live stream for Week 12 of the 2023 fantasy football season. For the next 3 consecutive hours, I'll be answering questions, regardless of scoring format. All you guys got to do, send it in via Super Chat or send it in via the live chat. I'll try to answer your questions to the best of my abilities. To the right side of the screen, like we do every single Sunday morning, we have updated rankings as to my top 36 running backs, top 36 wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends. These rankings are up to date, which obviously exclude any players who have already gone ahead and participated this week. There's already been 8 teams that have played, but going into week 12, there's still a lot of the fantasy week left to be determined. You may be in a good spot, you may be in a bad spot based on the prior performances of players over the course of week 12, but hopefully we can get you set up in the right direction, set your lineups ready to go. A couple reminders before I get into answering questions for this morning. First and foremost, if you are a Patreon supporter/subscriber, rankings have already been posted there in regards to all-encompassing rankings. On top of that, if you guys have signed up via Underdog Fantasy as of August 1st, 2023 till yesterday prior to midnight, those rankings were sent out, I think, around 2 a.m. earlier this morning. So be sure to check your email that's associated with your Underdog account in which you've signed up using code Andrew, made that first-time deposit minimum of $10. The ranking should be there. If it's not immediately in your inbox, check your spam folder. It should be there, ready to go. All right. So, a couple things that I wanted to mention. I have a couple contingencies that we'll need to see play out to confirm. First and foremost, the rankings that you see on screen, they're up to date literally as of maybe, I'd say 10 minutes ago. I went and I checked the weather report for the Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati game, and it said 100% chance of rain on multiple different sources. So we're going to have to wait a little bit, but if there's 100% chance of rain and it's going to be pouring for, the entire day, the overall likelihood of us feeling confident about playing Jamar Chase, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, in my mind, is lessened. So I have accordingly dropped them down my rankings a considerable margin because of that potential for 100% chance of rain. Obviously, I have other rankings. So if in fact we get to, let's say, for example, 9 a.m. and we look at the weather in Cincinnati, we have a live look and it's drizzling and it's not a big deal in terms of the overall impact of play for those wide receivers, because again, running routes with grass and it's slipping around and not being able to get your quarterback to deliver the ball, considering both these quarterbacks aren't upper tier players on top of it. I have Chase and Deontay Johnson and George Pickens a little bit lower ranked. But again, if it changes, then I'll move them back to where I originally had them, which was relatively high within the overall rankings. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Outside of that, we should be good to go. For those of you who are wondering about kicker and defensive rankings, if we can get to 200 likes, I'll be more than happy to go ahead and share that with you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. U-Dog in the chat says, what's up, Andrew? How's it going? Good morning, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Rusty, how's it going? Okay, so let's do this really quickly. Someone in the beginning of the live stream, let's see here. Jacob had one of the first messages in the live stream, said, Judy or Pickens? Yeah, I'll for right now, I have Pickens at 36. Judy's not too far off. We'll have to wait and see what that weather looks like by the time we get to pregame. If it's disastrous to an extent to where like throwing the ball is not an existent part of that game, then at that point you would just pivot to Judy. So we'll have to wait and see how that looks. All right, let's see here. So there was a question sent in from Angel. Thank you very much via Super Chat. Greatly appreciate it. Says, good morning. I'm 5-6, fighting for for a playoff spot. Okay, very well. Full PPR. I need one for the flex. Khalil Herbert, Taysom Hill, Deontay Johnson. Okay, so considering the weather, if the weather was not a potential for 100% chance of rain, I would feel really confident playing Deontay Johnson in a full PPR scoring format. So if by the time we get to 9 a.m., an hour before the game, maybe even 10 minutes before the game, probably should be the best determining factor as to whether or not you roll with him. If in fact the weather is not a problem, which I expect it to be, then you would play Deontay. Outside of that, in a full PPR, let's check where I have Khalil Herbert in comparison to Taysom Hill. So I have Khalil Herbert there. Oh, that's not it. That's Khalil Shakir. Khalil Herbert. Let's check this. So Khalil Herbert is there. And Taysom Hill, where art thou? Okay. So the other thing about the Khalil Herbert situation is we also have to wait and see whether or not we have a Deontay Foreman active. So, Angel, this is my suggestion. If Deontay Foreman is inactive, you probably play Khalil Herbert. Well, actually, no, you can't wait to know that because he plays tomorrow. Okay, so you're in a tough spot, Angel. If the weather is not a problem, you play Deontay Johnson. Outside of that, you play Taysom Hill instead of waiting until tomorrow because we don't know if Deontay Foreman is going to be active for the Chicago Bears, who he'll probably be the starting primary back there. So Deontay, if weather's okay, otherwise pivot to Taysom, and that's the play for this week. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, scrolling down, we had a question that came in from Mark Bond, who said, "Good morning, full PPR, start Trevor Lawrence or go with Herbert Allen stack." Ooh, I have CJ Stroud as well in my super flex. Star 1 RB and 1 flex. Flowers, Warren, Stevenson, White, Herbert. Thanks. Okay, so as for those options, I would play Rachaad White in the flex. He is expected to play, even though he was a late addition to the injury report in the week. He is expected to play today, so he would be the guy that I feel most comfortable starting out of that entire group. So Rachaad White will be my suggestion there to begin with, Mark. As for your quarterback question, I do prefer Trevor Lawrence over Justin Herbert this week. If you want to stack them, you can. In terms of my overall rankings that you guys can see on screen, like right here, Trevor Lawrence at 7, Justin Herbert at 10. It's not too big of a gap, so if you want to stack the quarterback and wide receiver, you can, but I do prefer Lawrence as of today. Someone in the chat, Huff and Puff, was saying DJ Moore and Nico Collins. I'll take DJ Moore there very comfortably. Josh Downs or Devontae Adams? Yeah, for sure, let's go with Devontae Adams there. DM Fresh 91. Again, guys, the rankings on screen should be able to lead you in the right direction in regards to what we're feeling in terms of these interpositional rankings. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, let me scroll down. We had a question that came in from Chris, all in, who said, full PPR, I need 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and 1 flex. We have Kamara, we have Pittman, we have Henry, we have Kyron Williams, Calvin Ridley, Nico Collins. Okay, so of the bunch, right, the 1 running back that I would play out of the group in a full PPR scoring format would be Alvin Kamara. The wide receiver that I would choose out of the bunch would be Michael Pittman Jr., like we were doing yesterday. So when we were putting together a couple pick'em slips for Underdog yesterday throughout our live stream, they had Michael Pittman Jr. at like 6.5 receptions. The guy's had himself 8 receptions in 5 of the last 6 games in which Gardner Minshew has been the starting quarterback. Like, Minshew's really helped keep Michael Pittman as a really consistent option for fantasy, especially in a full PPR scoring format. So I'll take Pittman there as the wide receiver 1. And then in the flex, I want to play Derrick Henry against Carolina. Should be a fantastic play. So Kamara, Pittman, Henry. As for your follow-up question, playing Taysom Hill or Jonnu Smith, even in a full PPR, I'm fairly certain I have Taysom Hill ahead of him. Let me check. Taysom Hill is ahead of Jonnu Smith, even in a full PPR at the moment. So that's the direction that I go in. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had another question from Bomb, B-H-O-M. I guess, is it Bomb? I guess it is, technically. Cooper Kupp or Jamar Chase? And could you do a breakdown? Yeah, look, here's the thing about Jamar Chase for right now. At the moment, the weather is probably an issue. If that's going to maintain to be an issue, considering it's a 100% chance of rain, unless we have someone in the chat who is quite literally in Cincinnati, who is going to the game today and can give us up-to-date weather reports. As of right now, the 2 sources that I usually use and utilize for the weather report, I find to be very consistent. So as of right now, between the 2, I don't want to play, an elite wide receiver, but I don't want to play him in an offense that has a backup quarterback that is going to be in, heavy weather condition that may end up impacting his overall potential for play. The thing about Cooper Kupp is the reason why I've ranked him so highly is I don't truly believe that the LA Rams would play Cooper Kupp unless he was 85 to 90% healthy coming off of this ankle injury. It's not a hamstring injury, luckily. Thank you. But as of right now, at the moment, it's just a matter of I wouldn't expect him to play him unless he was healthy. And if he is healthy and 85% of himself is normal self against the Arizona Cardinals, that is a pretty solid play for fantasy purposes. Okay, let's see here. Anyone know why London got moved up so high? Yeah, the primary reason is Marshawn Lattimore, the primary number 1 cornerback of the New Orleans Saints. He is on the injured reserve now. On top of it, another one of the reasons that he moved up besides that is because a lot of the other players that have already played have kind of been extracted from the rankings, so it kind of moves them up a pretty consistent placement of rankings there. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Black Jesus, who said, just curious, why Fields over Kyler? I've been going back and forth between the two. Yeah, the primary reason is just rushing upside. If I look at the two, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so Kyler has to take on just as good of a defense as Fields, so okay, that's fine. But if they're both going to be very similar in terms of their passing yardage and touchdown potential within this given week, I'm thinking, okay, what is the biggest determining factor as to what separates them? The last time out, Justin Fields, the volume of design runs they continue to give him, that is the special Justin Fields that we drafted back in August. That's the guy that we wanted to potentially, come into this season and flourish. Obviously, we didn't get that for the first couple weeks. And then prior to the injury, we saw, glimpses of him being an incredible passer. But now that he's getting into a position to where he's running the ball consistently, and now that there's potential of this backfield being in a little bit of a tough situation with Deontay Foreman dealing with an injury, that just continues to lead to him getting more rushing opportunities, which in my mind makes him a solidified play there for this week. Thank you. Moving on to Freddie Rivera, who says, one flex, full PPR, Singletary, Rice, Keaton, or London. In a full PPR, I'll play Drake London out of the group. If I was to rank them in order, Freddie, I'm fairly certain it goes something of the extent of going like London. Let me see who's second on that list. Would it be Rice? Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Control F, Rice. Do I have Rice ahead of Keaton Mitchell or the other Singletary? Let's see here. So it would be London, Rice, Singletary, Keaton Mitchell in that order in a full PPR. Thank you, Freddie. Appreciate it, man. All right, let's see here. K-Style sends in a question. K-Style says, good morning, Andrew. Full PPR, Mahomes, Diggs, Lamb, Eckler, ETN, Kincaid, Tank Dell. Benches Puka, DJ Moore, Gabe Davis. Any changes? Okay, considering you have Diggs, Lamb, Eckler, ETN, those don't change. Tank Dell is your flex in comparison to everybody else. I would rather keep him in there. That's fine. Even though I like, Puka Nacua and DJ Moore, they're both great plays, but obviously you don't have an opportunity of playing either of those outside. So you're good to go this week. Thank you, K-Styles. Appreciate it. D. Finney says, highly doubtful that Foreman is playing. Yeah, I mean, if that is the case, then that makes it easier to start Khalil Herbert. Like the ranking that I have on screen right now for Khalil Herbert, where is he? Number 22. That is under the assumption that Deontay Foreman does not play. I don't have Deontay Foreman ranked at all because I already know that it's a doubtful nature of whether he plays. Earlier this season, we saw a week in which Jerome Ford was, doubtful to play and ended up had himself 10 rushing attempts within that game. Like, I never want to completely, until they give him the out designation, it is difficult to assume one way or the other, especially considering they have the extra day of rest, considering they play tomorrow. So it's just tough to 100% say one way or the other from this circumstance. All right, Will Sherman sends in a question. Thank you, Will. Says, trade Waddle for Metcalf. Going to be 8-4 currently in a 12-team full PPR league. I have Hurts, Connor, Achane, Hill, Waddle, Puka, and TJ Hawkinson. Okay, so, and P.S., love your content, Rams house. Okay, so here's the deal, Will. Trading Waddle for Metcalf. I mean, look, rest of season, in terms of scheduling, it's relatively, I mean, not even relatively, it is extremely favorable for Seattle Seahawks wide receivers. I know that DK Metcalf had himself a really tough week based on a pretty high volume of targets, but not a lot of those being completed in his direction. I'm just looking at Miami's upcoming schedule. Like in the fantasy playoffs, weeks 15, they take on the Jets. He just had a huge game against them, could probably do it again. Then they take on Dallas, which again, it's a pretty tough matchup in terms of secondary, but still could produce well. And then they take on Baltimore. In comparison to Metcalf and the boys who take on Philadelphia, the best wide receiver matchup, Tennessee, another one of these great matchups, and then Pittsburgh, which is middle of the road. I would probably, assuming Geno Smith is 100% healthy and what we saw from the other night isn't a factor of his injury impacting his play, and we can get a full healthy Geno and DK for the remainder of the fantasy playoffs, I'd feel comfortable from weeks 15 through 17 having Metcalf over Waddle. Otherwise, if we can't get a guarantee on that injury and that tricep / elbow, then you just keep what you have and just keep it rolling, because we know that obviously Jalen Waddle, regardless of matchup, has extremely high upside based on the offense he's associated with, even in those tough matchups. Thank you. Anthony Gonzalez sends in a question. Says Ramondre, Gus, Ford, Jacobs, Zay Flowers, DJ Moore. Need 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver in a flex. Okay. So of the potential running backs that you have, I'd play Josh Jacobs and Gus Edwards. Those are the 1-2 combo that I would roll with. As for wide receiver, you can only play one of the two. I would play DJ Moore there. So then so then the final question is, do we play Flowers or Ramondre in a full PPR? Which at this point, if we go Flowers, let's see here. So if Flowers moves, there it is. Yeah, I have Flowers. My number 30 and Ramondre is my number 34 of remaining players. So Flowers would be the flex. So again, Anthony Gonzalez, to answer your question, Gus, Jacobs, Moore, and Flowers. Thank you. Moving on to Bruce Cowdery, who says full PPR, 2 questions. Number 1, would you play Douglas or Downs? I have Douglas 1 spot ahead of Downs. So in a full PPR, I'd keep it as is. I'd go Douglas. Follow-up question, will Dortch be worth playing or Watson from Kansas City? I'd rather play Dortch. We know that Marquise Hollywood-Brown is playing. So I think that only helps Greg Dortch's potential for this week, primarily because if Marquise Brown was to be inactive along with Michael Wilson, it may have changed it to where Greg Dortch would have to play on the outside instead of being that like power slot receiving option. So for now, considering he is going to be the primary slot receiver of this offense going into the week against the Rams, he should be a solid play in comparison to Justin Watson. I prefer him by a significant margin. So Douglas and Dortch there. Thank you, Bruce. Trojan 3659 says, if Rachaad White sits, would you play Evans over Dell? If Rachaad White sits against Indianapolis, would I play Evans over Dell? I don't think that Rachaad White sits. But even in the case in which he does, I probably wouldn't even sit Dell I wouldn't even sit Dell for Evans, even in that circumstance. That's how high I am on Tank Dell this week. Thank you. Ricky H says, why is Isaiah Likely higher than Taysom Hill? Because it's a half PPR scoring format. If it was a full PPR, he'd be even higher. But the primary reason is the Los Angeles Chargers are the most advantageous matchup at the tight end position. On top of it, the third string tight end for the Baltimore Ravens, Kolar, Kolar. I don't know how the pronunciation of that is. I probably just butchered it, but nonetheless, he did not practice Thursday or Friday. So if Isaiah Likely, which is expected to be the case, he's the only active tight end because there's no Kolar and there's no Mark Andrews, he should probably see himself a very high percentage of overall snaps, probably 90+%. And with that, should be in a position to get himself a high volume of targets at the primary tight end spot for this team in an advantageous matchup where tight ends typically find themselves a lot of success there. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, what's your favorite Underdog plays for today? Let me see the ones that I put together yesterday. I don't know if they still stand in terms of what their numbers look like, because obviously the numbers could change and they could adjust. But in terms of live plays, let's see. What are the ones that I put together yesterday? Michael Pittman Jr. higher than 6.0 receptions. DJ Moore higher than 6.5 targets. Tank Dell higher than 8.0 targets. Those are the 3 that were my favorite of the bunch as of yesterday. Thank you. All right, we had a question that came in from Scott Drummond. Let me see here, Scott. Where is your question? It didn't get attached, but maybe I can find it in the chat. Okay, Scott, I found it. Thank you. It says, flex full PPR, Zay Flowers or Trey McBride? That's a really good question. I think, yeah, let me check. Okay, so I have Zay Flowers as my number, well, in a full PPR, yeah. Zay Flowers is my number 30, and Trey McBride is my number 35. So Zay Flowers would be the suggestion there. If Marquise Brown was not going to play today, I would have probably suggested playing Trey McBride there. But considering not last night, I guess earlier this morning around like 2 a.m., the NFL insiders, specifically Ian Rappaport, came out and said that Marquise Brown is expected to play. With that, I'm going to play Zay Flowers in his instead of McBride in that scenario. Thank you. Moving on to Cole, who had a question. Cole Postal says, I have Stroud, Allen, and Hurts. Which 2 do I start? I mean, at this point, I think you kind of have to play Allen or Hurts. I wouldn't suggest otherwise. If it was my team, those are the 2 that I would play. I know that Stroud's been playing extremely well, but the rushing upside of yardage and touchdowns that both Hurts and Allen can generate within a given week it's very difficult to be able to match that in terms of passing yardage. Thank you. Dior Kev sends in a question. Thank you, Dior. Says Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, Jonathan Taylor. Pick 2 PPR. Wow. Okay. So let's see who I've ranked the highest in a full PPR capacity. If I go to my full PPR rankings, flex, I have Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp ranked the highest out of the bunch. Thank you. Scrolling down here. Let's see. Where did we go from there? We had a question that came in from Stephen Loya. Sorry. Stephen, I don't know why that's a tongue twister for me. Stephen Loya. Thank you very much. Half PPR, flex. Flex spot in playoffs on the line. Deontay Johnson or Josh Downs. Okay, so like I was mentioning earlier, if the weather, because again, the rankings that are on screen are up to date as of, I would say, 30 minutes ago. Did we get to 200 likes, by the way? Okay, I'll get to that in a second. Like I was mentioning about, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, the weather in Pittsburgh versus, sorry, it's not in Pittsburgh, it's in Cincinnati. The weather for the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game, as of my weather report on 2 different sources, is 100% chance of rain. That is why I've moved Deontay Johnson as low as I have. In comparison to Josh Downs, I would rather play Josh Downs against Tampa Bay today. On top of that, like I was mentioning earlier, if we can get to, I mean, there's about 758 of you now here. So if we can get to 300 plus likes, so 150 more, I'll even go start getting the train going in the right direction by clicking the like button. If we can get to that, I'd be more than happy to share defense and kicker rankings for this week. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. All right, let's see here. Scrolling down in regards to Jake St. Paul's question. Says, full PPR, OBJ or Evan Ingram? Let's see who I've ranked higher. Let's go to Control F, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is there. I have OBJ higher this week. Thank you. The primary reason why Evan Ingram is a little bit of a lesser play in comparison to where he was on Thursday. Zay Jones is expected to play, even though he was limited practice all week, and I thought that there was a potential in which he would end up missing. Because of the presence of Zay Jones, it doesn't make Evan Ingram a viable option as he typically is, because the overall target opportunity in volume isn't going to be there on a consistent basis in comparison to when, of course, Zay Jones is inactive. Moving on to a question from Josie, who says, hi, Andrew, full PPR. I see your rankings with Madison, Chandler, Mitchell. I have all 3. I need to start 1. What does your gut tell you for upside? Between the 3 upside, it's Keaton Mitchell. I think it's kind of always been the looming thing, but the issue is he's got a lower floor of production because he gets less touches. So like between the 3 of them, Madison is going to be typically the safest play of the bunch, primarily because you're going to get yourself a high volume of touches, but I'm expecting Keaton Mitchell to get himself more utilization. Even with more utilization, it doesn't mean that he's going to have himself a highly efficient day in comparison. But yeah, I believe that the upside is probably Mitchell in this circumstance, especially with Madison having to take on Chicago's run stop defense, which I don't love. So yeah, upside, I would say it's Keaton Mitchell this week. Thank you. Let's see here. Scrolling down, we had a question that came in from Orion Canyon, who says, trade Herbert and Mixon for Swift and Collins. Who's the Herbert? Is that Khalil Herbert or Justin Herbert? I guess regardless of that situation, if it's, let's say, for example, it's Khalil Herbert, the answer is absolutely yes. If it's Justin Herbert, my only other question at that point, Canyon, would be, who's your alternative option at quarterback, and can you suffice with that backup option for the remainder of the season? So if you can, then take the deal, because Swift is a significantly better option than Mixon, and Nico Collins can absolutely help you as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 option remainder of the season. All right, let's see here. Jake B sends in a question. Jake says, standard league, pick 2, DJ Moore, Jerome Ford, Javonte Williams. Okay, between those 3 options, I'd like to play DJ Moore first and foremost. And as for Javonte Williams, Jerome Ford, in a standard scoring format, I probably end up playing... Let me check here real quick. I guess I could reference these projections and then try to adjust it without having any sort of passing, at least reception statistics implicated within it. Let me check. Control F. Where's Ford? Okay, and then I need Javonte Javonte. Yeah, okay. So between the two, I'll take Javonte Williams and DJ Moore. Or between the three, excuse me. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question that came in from Hugh. Hugh, thank you very much. Says, I'm streaming your number one ranked kicker this week, as in Will Lutz. Can you please explain how and why you chose him? So I can sound smart with my league mates when he does well. Yeah, I was explaining it yesterday. In the last 4 games, the 4-game winning streak in which the Broncos have been able to, take out some of the better teams in the National Football League, and of course Will Lutz, over the course of the last 4 games, has himself, what is that? That's 10. Oh my goodness, that's more. That's 15. Yeah, that's 15 field goal attempts in the last 4 weeks. The primary reason which I was explaining it to people yesterday during our live stream is over the course of the last 4 games, the Denver Broncos have only gone for it on 4th down 4 total times. They're 2 for 4. In comparison to the rest of the league over the course of the last month, they're amongst the fewest in terms of 4th down attempts. A lot of what Sean Payton has been able to do in order to string together this 4-game winning streak is, of course, having an improved defense and improved offense. But again, they're taking points when they can. They're not forcing it and not saying, hey, we have to score touchdowns now, even when we're taking on the Buffalo Bills, even when we're taking on, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're taking the points, they're trusting the process, and of course, they're letting their kicker, who has literally only missed 1 field goal, he's made 14 of 15 in the last 4 games. So as long as they keep, this entire streak going of not going for it on 4th down, not putting themselves into situations where they're passing up on points, Willett should be once again another great player and my number 1 kicker, as you know. Appreciate it, Hugh. Moving on to Carlos Hunt, who says 14-team league full PPR. I traded Kyron Williams, Nico Collins, Andrews for Hawkinson. What? Did you overpay? Yeah, in a 14-team league, you extremely overpaid. I understand you traded Andrews there, and he's injured. He's out for the season, but I just don't get it. How did this trade even? I have Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Kamara, Adams, Moore, and now I needed to find a flex. I don't even understand the question in itself, Carlos. Like, you traded away Andrews. Is this a redraft league? Like, what's the point of trading Andrews unless it's a keeper/dynasty? If it's a keeper/dynasty, I think this is a bad trade as well. So I think in all circumstances, it's a pretty rough trade. Now, considering what you have, McCaffrey, Kamara, Adams, DJ Moore, Allen, I think it's rough, but if this is a redraft league and you traded away Andrews, who's worth pretty much nothing because I don't expect him to return throughout, weeks 15 through 17. If you're trading Kyron Williams and Nico Collins for Hawkinson, maybe I could understand it, but in a 14-team league where you need depth, especially for the playoffs in case of an injury, it's a tough move to have made there, Carlos. Definitely a tough move. Maybe you can give me more context on the matter, though. Thank you. All right, scrolling down, answering a couple more questions. Someone asked Addison or Singletary in a half PPR. Spencer, let me get to that real quick. Addison, let me check. I got to change the ranking filter. Half PPR. Addison or, let's see here, Singletary. Where is Singletary in comparison? Where the heck is Singletary on? I have Singletary 4 rankings ahead of him, so I would go with Devin Singletary today. Thank you. All right, likely or Taysom Hill in a standard scoring format. Probably take Taysom Hill there. Again, 16 touchdowns. Sorry, yeah, is it 16? I think it's 16. 16 touchdowns in the last 26 games, so a 62% rate in which he scores a touchdown. Yeah, I like that idea of just playing Taysom Hill there. Moving on, we had a question from Lorenzo Herrera, who says, full PPR, I have Michael Pittman Jr. and Kupp for my flex. Calvin Ridley or Puka Nacua? I would play Calvin Ridley in the flex there. Thank you. Scrolling down, let's see who's the next question on hand. Thank you, Rogo. Appreciate that. Okay, we had a question that came in from Dylan. Dylan, the message wasn't attached, but maybe I can find it. That's a different Dylan. Okay, this is it. I have Jefferson. Should I play Josh Downs / Christian Kirk or wait till Monday? I could emergency play Mooney. Okay, here's the issue with playing Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney does not have much fantasy upside in any sort of capacity. If he gets lucky, maybe he could put together a solid week. But, I mean, with Justin Fields, like I'm just looking at the last couple games he's played with Fields. 1 target, 1 reception, 24 yards. 4 targets, 0 catches. 4 targets, 4 receptions, 51. 1 target, 0 receptions. And then another game in which he had 0 targets, 0 receptions. So in the last 5 games with Justin Fields, he's had himself 11 targets, 2 targets per game on average. Like, can we really take the risk on that? Like, if it's me, considering the fact that the Minnesota Vikings next week have a bye week, I'm assuming that they're going to probably keep Justin Jefferson healthy and on the shelf for another week here in order to make sure that when he comes back in week 14, he's at a full capacity. So for now, I'd probably end up playing Kirk and or Downs. I currently have Kirk ranked higher than Downs on screen, so that's the direction I would go with. Thank you. Moving on to Joe J, who says half PPR pick 2, Chase, Warren, McBride, Sutton. Out of the 4, assuming the weather continues to stay as bad as it is in Cincinnati, I would probably end up playing Warren alongside of McBride there today. Thank you. If in fact the weather starts to shape up in the right direction, I would go with Warren and Chase. Thank you. Where are we at? So we took care of that, and we move on to a question that came in from Francisco, who says, Demario Douglas or Hollywood Brown at the flex? Must win this week to stay in the playoff hunt. Demario Douglas or Marquise Hollywood Brown? Yeah, look, the issue that I have with Marquise Brown is a lack of overall opportunity in the last couple games. On top of the fact that, as of late, that offense, it's not the most potent thing now that they've transitioned to Kyler Murray. That being said, if it's a full PPR, I will take Demario Douglas. If it's a half or a standard, I think the touchdown upside and the overall upside of a play is in line with Marquise Hollywood Brown. So like half PPR standard, Marquise, full PPR, give me Demario. I don't know what you're scoring from it is because you didn't mention it, but hopefully that answers. Thank you. Shannon Yoon says full PPR, Deontay Johnson or Pop Douglas, and why? If the weather is not a problem in Cincinnati, it's Deontay Johnson, primarily because we know he's probably going to get himself upwards of 8, 9, 10 targets and continue to be the number one in that offense. And the primary number one cornerback of the Cincinnati Bengals, Cameron Taylor-Britt, if I'm not mistaken, is out this week. That all helps Deontay in terms of his overall potential. And they fired Matt Canada, which only opens up this offense even more to passing the ball and hopefully not being scared in doing so like they have over the course of this entire season and last year. But that being said, the weather's a disaster in Cincinnati most likely, so I'll take Bob Douglas there because he's the number one of his offense. We know that Mac Jones this week has been named the starter, so should be fine. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Colby who says, McBride or Kincaid? I have Kyler. Do I stack him in a full PPR? Yeah, in a full PPR, I have McBride ranked higher than Kincaid. Thank you. Scar Shiesty says, brother, hope you had a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you. I did. Hope you did as well. Thank you very much, Scar. Says, start Tank Dell over DJ Moore as my wide receiver 2 standard scoring format. Yeah, I would. I'd feel pretty comfortable in doing so. Thank you. I mean, look, you and I both know they're both great plays, but what Tank Dell's been able to do as of late, especially in the absence of Noah Brown for another consecutive week here, should be a lot of opportunity in terms of targets and hopefully a lot of upside. The last time he took on Jacksonville earlier this season had over 140 receiving yards and a touchdown. So we're hoping he gets back to that. Let's see. We had a question from Steven Phillips who says, full PPR, I need 2 wide receivers, 1 running back and 1 flex. We have Puka, AJ Brown, Dell Swift, and Kyron Williams. So of the bunch, if you need 2 wide receivers, I think it's obvious. You're playing AJ Brown and you're playing Tank Dell. 2 incredible options there, 1 and 2. As for your running back, I like DeAndre Swift. As for your flex, in a full PPR capacity, I take Kyron Williams there. If you are worried about the Cooper Kupp situation, if you're worried about the Kyron Williams coming off an injury situation, I have no problem playing Puka Nacua. If it was a half PPR, I'd say you wouldn't. Yeah, if it was a half PPR, I would say, hey, don't even think about playing him. But considering the full PPR capacity and scoring format, I wouldn't mind the idea of playing Puka instead of Kyron Williams in the flex, but I prefer Kyron. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Bale Kim. Thank you, Bale. It says, PPR traded Montgomery and Amari Cooper for Henry. Thoughts? Man. Let's hope that this offense can pick it up as of late because truly they've been a little bit of a mess in the last couple weeks. So if they can pick it up, and especially in the fantasy playoffs, he takes on Houston, Seattle, and Houston. Those are solid matchups, especially for Derrick Henry. If they can get into a position to where hopefully this offense and their defense plays a little bit better, could be a decent transition there. But if it's me, I probably, especially if there's a potential change at quarterback for for Cleveland. I like the idea of Amari Cooper. Maybe if in fact Joe Flacco takes over, that being the better side in a full PPR capacity. Otherwise, let's just hope for the best, though, Bale. Let's just hope for the best. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from, after Bale, we had Focused Motion, who says, hit the like button. Thank you very much. Yes, again, if you guys click the like button, I'll be more than happy if we can surpass 300 likes to share the kicker and defense rankings. Greatly appreciate it. And then he says, let's get this man to 100K subs. I mean, that's probably in the future. That's definitely the future, but we'll get there, slowly and surely. Do appreciate all the support. Oh, that's it. Okay. Says, thanks for all the hard work, Andrew, and to help us win championships. All right. Thank you, Focused. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, let me know. All right. Moving on. We had a question from Zuba T Slayer. Or Zubat Slayer. Yeah, it is Zubat Slayer. You have a picture of a Zubat Pokemon. Okay. Trade Thielen for Likely. 2 flex, half PPR. My tight end is Cade Otton. My wide receivers are Hill, Ayuk, Puka, Christian Watson. My running backs are Achane, Kyron, Walker, and Singletary. Would I trade Thielen for Likely? I'd want a tight end option that I know for a fact is going to be a consistent player for the remainder of the season. Like, I'd almost be looking to try to maybe even go after. I mean, like, I like the idea of going after Likely. Don't get me wrong. But I want like a consistent player or consistent option. Like, I'm looking at, can I get Dalton Schultz for that? Can I get David Njoku for that instead? Like, those are the plays. Can I get Evan Ingram? Like, I just want a solidified, like, 6 catches, 60 yards if I can get it every week in that circumstance in order to fill in for Adam, for the loss of Adam Thielen. Even though it's not going to hurt you that you're missing Adam Thielen, considering you're going to be starting Hill, Ayuk, Watson, Puka for the remainder of the year. I would probably try to aim a little bit higher. If you can't, I'm okay with it because, yeah, Cade Otton truly is like a touchdown or bust kind of player in that circumstance. Thank you. All right, we had a question that came in from Shane Howard, who says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, start 2 wide receivers, Dell, Chase, Cup, or Johnson, okay? Dell, Chase, Cup, Johnson. Between those 4, I'll play Dell and Cup. Follow up, RB2, Taylor or Bijan. I'll take Taylor. And flex, any of the names mentioned. Yeah, so this is what I would suggest, Shane. Dell and Cup are your wide receivers. Taylor's your RB2. Bijan's your flex. Thank you. Trey Perez says, pick 2, full PPR, Chase, Dell, Kincaid, Warren, Rice. Okay, so again, under the assumption that the weather is a complete disaster in Cincinnati, which again it's expected to be, Chase would not be on this suggestion. It would be Dell first and foremost, and then between Kincaid and Warren, let me see where I have Kincaid ranked in my full PPR. Kincaid is there, and I have him ahead of Warren. So those would be the 2. It would be Dalton Kincaid and Tank Dell this week. Thank you. Chris B, the RD. Yeah, Chris B, the RD says, full PPR, flex, London, OBJ, Khalil Shakir, Ty Montgomery. Why Ty Montgomery? My starting 3 receivers, Chase, Puka, Debo. Okay, so if we're looking just for one in the flex, OBJ or Drake London are pretty much the question that I'm gravitating towards because I don't really want to play Khalil Shakir. Odell. Okay, so let's see where I have Odell in comparison. Yeah, I have Drake London still ahead of Odell Beckham. So I'll take Drake London there this week. Thank you. We had a question that came in from John Williams, who says, full PPR, play 2, Thielen, Flowers, DJ Moore. In a full PPR, who do I have ranked higher? I know for a fact that I have DJ Moore ranked the highest of the bunch, and the second highest ranked player, I have Adam Thielen in a full PPR at 14, and Zay Flowers at 15. So, definitely, I mean, like, I'm splitting hairs in that circumstance. So, for now, yeah, that's probably what I would suggest, going more in Thielen. But Thielen and Flowers are literally number 14 and 15 back-to-back. So if you want to play Flowers, you have a gut feeling about it, I have no problem. Thank you. Drew Johnson says, Godwin, Hollywood, or Sutton, pick 1 full PPR. If I'm playing only one of the 3 in a full PPR, I'd play Godwin. Thank you. Marion Garcia says, excuse me, full PPR, Chase or Connor, and why? Thanks. Yeah, again, let me see. Let me go to Twitter and see if there's anybody in Cincinnati that's going to give me a live look at what the heck is going on over there. Because I know it's not looking good. So let's see here. If I look up Steelers at Bengals, is it too early? I think it might be too early. Let me see here. Oh, never mind. Hold up. Here we go. Steelers at Bengals. What the heck is his weather? Why is the sun out? It's not even raining. Okay. Hold up. Wait a minute. Who is this? Is that Domata Pico? Hey, what a legend. Okay. All right. So is he at the stadium? It doesn't even look like it's gonna rain today. What is this? I mean, dude, the weather is so effing unreliable. What is this? Okay. This is what I planned for, guys. We're fine, okay? So in the case of this kind of an emergency, I have alternatives to these options. So let's do this really quickly. The alternatives go as such. Boom. And then I need one more. Where the heck did it go? Here it is. Okay, so now that I'm looking at the weather, and it does not look like a disaster, if I close this, boom. All right, the rankings are now back to normal. Okay? By the way, speaking of back to normal, we've already surpassed 300 likes, so let me go ahead and let me show off tight end and kicker ranking. Sorry, kicker and defensive rankings. Apologies. So I just looked at I guess this is, yeah, it was posted on Twitter by a guy who used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals, defensive tackle, an absolute legend. It looks shiny. The skies look clear. I don't know what the F is going on. If the weather changes, then we'll change it back. But for right now, we're back into a situation where I've moved Jamar Chase way back higher, and so is Deontay Johnson way back higher. So someone who asked earlier, hey, do I play Deontay Johnson or Taysom Hill or Khalil Herbert in the flex? Now we're going back to Deontay Johnson because the weather looks like it's actually in a solid state. Got it? Cool? So someone who asked earlier, hey, do I play Kincaid, Chase, Dell, Warren, Rice? At that point now, we're playing Dell with Chase. Got it? Cool? So we're pivoting back to Chase in those circumstances. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you. Are you kidding me? Who lives in Cincinnati? Anybody? How many people are in here? 900? There's got to be one person that's in Cincinnati, Ohio, that wants to do me a favor. Send me a DM on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, and give me live updates. That's all I would appreciate. Thank you very much. Moving on. We had a question that came in from, okay, so Marion Johnson. This is what triggered the entire thing. Now that I've checked at the weather, let's play Chase in a full PPR. Thank you. Moving on to Roro, who says full PPR. I need an RB2 in a flex. We have Mixon, Ramondre, Devonta Smith, Downs, Shaheed, and Mitchell. So in a full PPR, I prefer Ramondre Stevenson over Mixon as the RB2. So I'd play Ramondre there. As for the flex, I'll play Devonta Smith there. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. Let me scroll back down. Perfect. Okay. We had a question that came in from Nomad, who says, I have Singletary, Flowers, and Ridley. I can play one. If you can only play one, you play Ridley. Thank you. If you have an opportunity of playing a second, it would be Flowers. Dylan says, full PPR flex, Singletary, Pickens, Kincaid. Between those three, I'd play Kincaid. Thank you. Scrolling down, we had a question from Aiden Johnson. Aiden, thank you very much. It says PPR, Michael Pittman Jr. or Mike Evans. In a full PPR, I have, let me check. I have Michael Pittman Jr. ahead of Mike Evans in a full PPR. So, yeah. That's the way that I would go about it. I would play Pittman over Evans in a full PPR. Half PPR, not as much because, again, we are lesser value on those overall, reception counts and higher upside for Evans with touchdowns. So in a half PPR, would go the other way. Thank you. We had a question from Lucas Murray, who says 10-team full PPR, pick 2, Gus Edwards, Jerome Ford, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk. Thank you, sir. Okay. Between the 4 options in a full PPR, Gus Edwards, I think, kind of has to play, considering his overall upside of potential. Alongside of him, I'd play Christian Kirk there. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from Tristan, who says, half PPR, 1 point per, first down, flex, Deontay, Cook, Hollywood. I think we answered this yesterday, right? Considering the fact that James Cook is getting himself Well, actually, no, it's just a matter of Deontay Johnson. I think what we mentioned yesterday was Deontay Johnson, when he's used at a high capacity, 10 plus targets, gets himself like 6, 7, 8 receptions. He typically gets himself 5 or 6 first downs per game, which is significantly higher than what we've seen as of late, the capabilities of someone like James Cook. So I would say the weather continues to stay nice and shiny in Cincinnati, then yes, we'll play Deontay Johnson there. God, I need more updates on this weather, because this one video might be just fooling me, but it looks like it's enough evidence for me. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Moving on. But for right now, yes, I'll take Deontay Johnson there like I suggested yesterday. Cameron Champagne sends in a question. Says, hey, should I start Chase or Ridley? Full PPR. I'll take Ridley there. Thank you. All right. So as you guys can see on screen, we have up-to-date kicker and defensive rankings. Again, instead of having to, consecutively sit here and go through them one at a time, naming them, this is the list as it stands in regards to this week. So hopefully this helps you. Of course, I've removed any players that have already played this week, adjusted it accordingly. So if you have the ability of taking and picking up someone like the New England Patriots defense or Kansas City Chiefs defense, Broncos, Pittsburgh Steelers, those are my top defenses going into the week. Kickers, of course, Will Lutz at the top of this conversation. We mentioned it earlier in regards to why I favor him so much in comparison to the bunch. But of course, if you have someone like Tucker or Harrison Butker, Matt Gay, Greg Joseph, you already have them on roster. You don't want to make any adjustments. I mean, again, if you have Greg Joseph and he has a bye week next week, you have Justin Tucker, he has a bye week next week, you're already going to change your kicker. Maybe go ahead and pick up Will Lutz for this week in that regard, preparation, and of course, getting yourself an advantage. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from Evan, who says, good morning. Full PPR, starting White and Ford at running back. I need 2 flex. Okay. Likely Herbert, Amari Cooper, or London. If you need 2 flex options out of those 4 in a full PPR, I'm probably playing Drake London, and I'm probably playing Isaiah Likely there. And what do we feel about Shakir 2 today? Look, here's the thing about Khalil Shakir. Outside of maybe getting himself like 6 catches for 60, I think that's a really good day. Yes, last week was like the best case scenario. No one on the Jets wanted to tackle him, and of course he had that huge play. Outside of that, I think like 6 catches, 60 yards is like the best case scenario for Shakir today. If he falls into the end zone, that's one of those omega upside performances. Otherwise, yeah, I do prefer to play London Likely there. Thank you. Someone was asking Devontae Smith or Kincaid in a PPR. I'd probably just play Devontae Smith there. Double AC1 says, thoughts on Elijah Moore versus OBJ rest of season? I think Elijah Moore would need a quarterback change for me to feel more confident about the situation. Otherwise, OBJ, with the lack of Mark Andrews there, could end up seeing more utilization within this offense, especially considering as of late, 3 consecutive weeks of scoring 10-plus fantasy points, 2 out of the last 3 weeks of scoring a touchdown. I think he probably only just gets himself more utilization within this offense. Again, you got to remember, guys, the guy was coming off an ACL injury and the reconstruction of that, had to find his footing, hadn't played football in quite a while. I mean, the February game of the Super Bowl was the last time he had set himself on the field. So it's been quite a while, and now that he's finding his footing finally, hopefully he can just stay healthy. All right, Super sends in a question. Says, I have McBride. Should I start Murray or Mahomes? Yeah, I'd just rather play Mahomes there against Las Vegas. He has a really good track record against that team. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change the rankings back to quarterback and tight end because, again, if you're asking questions about Murray and Mahomes, hopefully the rankings on screen can help in that scenario. Carlos Hunt says, yes, it's a keeper league. Okay. Sucks that I overpaid, but that's the case. But I'll be optimistic. 8-3. Yeah, look, here's the thing about it, Carlos. Even in a keeper league, if you're only keeping a couple of those options, you're going to keep all the other, like, let's say, for example, it's a keeper league and you're only keeping 3 of these guys, right? It's not a dynasty league. The trade's fine because what it purely just does is it gives you a better chance of winning this year and winning a championship. So I'm fine with it in that circumstance. But if it's like a dynasty league, it wouldn't make any sense in any circumstance there. But yeah, I think you'll be fine. Fasty says, look at the national radar. There's a storm the size of Texas about to wash Ohio's bad football weekend off. Yeah, they lost to Michigan, huh? Yeah, I mean, look, this is why it said 100% chance of rain, right? Time will tell. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Cincinnati. I'm in Cincinnati. Battery 2.3 miles from stadium. The weather is fine. Might miss early this morning. Okay, Heavy. We'll keep an eye on that, Heavy. Thank you. Marcus Parker says, Ford or Chase in the flex, full PPR. Ford or Chase. Listen, if the weather's good, we're playing Chase. And we're good to go there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Scrolling to the next question. Do appreciate y'all being patient. We had a question that came in from Luke C, who says the following. Says, why Marquise Brown over Deontay Johnson full PPR? So I've now changed it, right? Deontay Johnson back ahead of Marquise Hollywood Brown primarily because of the weather. That was the only reason why I had it alternatively. Now that I've changed the rankings back to their normal state, not worrying about Cincinnati weather, which again, it could be a disaster. Time will tell. If there's no weather issue, I'll play Deontay Johnson there comfortably. Okay, scrolling down. Corey Olson sends in a question. Corey, thank you. Says full PPR. I can play Barkley or Bijan in the flex. I like Bijan Robinson there. D. Finney in the chat was saying, Cincy game is still over 2 hours away. Anything can happen. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to wait and see. We'll just keep it. We'll keep everything fluid, guys. Don't make anything as like a 100% solidified play one way or the other in regards to those players that are in that game. Okay, so we took care of Corey Olson there. Thank you very much, Corey. I greatly appreciate it. Why is Bass ranked so low? Because he's only had one good week in the last... Wait, do I even have Bass ranked? Yeah, I don't even have him ranked. I was about to say, because I don't trust Bass. I mean, just looking at his overall track record, as of late, the guy had one good week last week. Outside of that singular performance, I think he had single-digit fantasy points for like 5 or 6 consecutive games. And there's nothing to give me more confidence. Now that they're taking on Philadelphia, I feel like this is a game in which they may go for it more often on fourth down instead of taking the points. I mean, yeah, I'm just going to lean away from Tyler Bass. He just hasn't been consistent. Like, if I go look at his overall production as of late, just to give you reference, Tyler Bass, 17, but prior to the 17 points he had last week, 2, 4, 6, 5, 2, 2. Can we really trust that? I don't think so. Thank you. Corey Olson had a follow-up. He says, being stacked at RB is going to be frustrating. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. But I do like playing Bijan there. Thank you. Mark Franz in the chat was saying, full PPR, start 3, Olave, Puka, Nico, Ridley. Sorry, the Picos and the Picograms are starting to get in flux there. So between those options, in a full PPR capacity, Ridley and Olave are for sure plays. Let me see who it is between Puka and Nico Collins, full PPR. We have, yeah, so the 3 that I would suggest would be Olave, Ridley, and Puka Nacua. Thank you. Moving on to a question that came in from Semi-Pro. Thank you, Semi-Pro. Says, I already asked for lineup advice on Thursday, so instead, give the people a lock against the spread for 1 o'clock games. Let's hear it. Oh, goodness. Let me go look at the spreads of these games. All right, let's see here. Let's go look at these. A lock for this week against the spread. Oh, yikes. Here we go. Okay. Okay, here we go. Spreads, boom, there we go. And then all right, so I'm looking at this right now. We have, oh goodness. These are some tight ones, huh? 2.5s, 3.5s, 2s. Man, these are some, I mean, goodness gracious. I'm just looking at like the percentage of money that are being placed on some of these teams. Like, can you imagine the Raiders are +9 and 75% of the money is on them and only 38% of the bets. So that means that there's a couple of sharps that are on that. All right, so let's just put it this way. Where are we at in terms of some of these games? All right, let's look at this. Let's look at this. No, I don't want that. I will take, if I'm picking only one, I'll take the Rams to cover. 2.5. -2.5. I'll take the Rams to cover. Thank you. I'll take my team. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to Sam Hornstein, who says, full PPR, start one wide receiver, one running back, one flex. We have Pacheco, Ramondre, we have Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, and Zay Flowers. Okay, so let's look at this full PPR. As for your RB between Ramondre and Pacheco, I have Pacheco at 13. That's half PPR. Sorry, let's go back. Let's go look at this. Boom. Okay, full PPR. For running back, your one RB would be Pacheco. Your wide receiver in a full PPR would be either between one of those three. So let's look at where's Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is there. Nico Collins is there. And your final option was Flowers. So Nico Collins would be the play there. And then the final option, as of right now, let me think about this with Devontae Smith. Yeah, let's just play it safe. Because again, he was dealing with an injury, missed Friday's practice. I'm not 200%. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain as to what his status is in terms of maximum health. So for right now, yeah, we'll take Pacheco at your RB1, Nico Collins as your wide receiver 1, and I'll probably play Zay Flowers as your flex there in a full PPR. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling down, we had a couple questions that were sent in. Let's get to these. After Sam's question, we had one from Mel Bailey. Mel, thank you very much. Says, good morning, Guru. PPR, I need one. Flowers, London, Douglas. Flowers, London, Douglas. Yeah, between the three, I'll take Flowers. Thank you. Follow-up question, Warren, Downs, OBJ. Between those three, Warren, Downs, OBJ, in a full PPR, I probably end up playing one of those two wide receivers. Okay, let me think about this. If the rain is a disaster in Cincinnati, it would promote a more heavy run game approach, I would assume, from both Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. If the rain's a disaster, it probably ends up being Warren. Outside of that scenario, I'd probably just end up playing in a full PPR. Let's see here. Full PPR, OBJ, Josh. I have Josh Downs ahead of OBJ this week in a full PPR. So Warren if the weather's a disaster. Otherwise, play Downs over OBJ and Warren. Thank you. Follow-up question, Downs or Deontay Johnson for Pittsburgh wide receiver. Same thing applies. If the weather is a disaster there, do not play Deontay Johnson, play Downs, and then vice versa. Thank you. I know it's a lot of if this, then this, if this, then that, but that's kind of the scenario we're in. Follow-up question, K-Will or Connor? I'd rather play Kyron Williams over James Conner this week. As for your follow-up to that, need two, Hollywood, James Cook, Cooper, Deontay Johnson. If I'm playing two of those four, I'm assuming Cooper is Amari Cooper. If I'm playing two of those four, I'd probably end up playing James Cook and Deontay Johnson there. Thank you very much, Mel Bailey. Appreciate it. All right, moving on from that, we have Cameron Kaplan, who says full PPR, Nico Collins or Devontae Smith. Yeah, I've moved down on Devontae Smith's overall kind of projection because of the injury that he had over the course of this week that forced him to miss a Friday practice. That doesn't really give me much confidence in that scenario. So I'm leaning towards playing Nico Collins there. If we can get like look, typically, like I've mentioned, you guys know my entire stance on this whole Deontay Johnson thing. Devontae Smith thing. The thing about Devontae Smith is when healthy and without Dallas Goedert on this team, he is a really great option. Like in a half PPR, averaging over 13 fantasy points per game. So in a full PPR, that'd probably be over 15. So he's a solid option. He's got to be healthy though. That's the only contingency as of right now. Still debating who to play in the flex. Let's see here. I see you typing, Andre. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Bob France. Bob, yesterday you sent in a question at the very end of the stream. Hopefully you heard me answer it. I stopped the outro music and I answered it. Hopefully you did. If not, apologies. It says pick one in the PPR flex. Njoku, Marquise Brown, or Shaheed. Out of those three in a full PPR scoring format, I'm fairly certain. Do I want to play Marquise Hollywood Brown in that scenario? Ugh, God, man. I want to play Marquise Brown. I just don't know if I can trust him coming off the injury. As of right now, I probably just take David Njoku and just take the solidified points there between the two. Thank you. Moving on to Chris Rosado, who says, start Lutz, even though Starting Cleveland defense. Yeah, why not? You just want points, right? So if you're starting Cleveland's defense, you want this to be a low scoring game. And if field goals are going to be the factor of that low scoring game, then even better. Especially if you're getting like 5 points for 50-yard field goals, should be great. Okay, scrolling down. We had a question that came in from Anthony Morales, who says Devontae Adams or Nico Collins in a full PPR. I'll take Devontae Adams there. Thank you. Luke Newcomb says Andrew Hopkins or Schultz. Flex full PPR. In a full PPR, I'll take DeAndre Hopkins there. Hey, what is this one? Mike says pick 3 Cooper Kupp. Actually, I don't know if that's it's Cooper, Kupp, Rashad White, Puka, Williams. How many names are in here? Is that 5 names? Cooper, like Amari Cooper, Kupp, Rashad White, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams. If that's the case, I'm starting Rashad White, starting Cooper Kupp, and Kyron Williams there, assuming it's a half PPR. Otherwise, you play all 3 receivers in a full. All right, let's see here. Scrolling back up. Let's see here. Where are the questions? We took care of that one. Good to go. K. Pereira sends in a question. Says, standard. I have wide receiver 1, Dell. Wide receiver 2, Olave. Who should I flex? James Cook, Devin Singletary, or Amari Cooper? James Cook, Devin Singletary, Amari Cooper. Standard scoring format. Between those 3, where do I have? Okay, let's see here. Okay, that's that. Between the 3, I'd play James Cook in a standard scoring format. Especially considering the return of Dameon Pierce is definitely going to impact Singletary. I mean, I expect Singletary to be the number 1, but still, it's definitely going to impact him. All right, let's see your question, Andre. Andre sent in the question from Patreon. Says, I'm still debating who to play in the flex. I don't want to play Olave here. You have Bijan. I mean, if I can't convince you to play this is a full PPR, right? I'm assuming. Who do I have ranked the highest in my full PPR rankings? So between the bunch of players that you have on your team, I have Bijan there in the flex. I have Olave there. They're pretty separated. I have Ridley there after Olave. Kyron Williams is after them as well. Look, I like Bijan, Andre. But if you want to play Olave, that's fine by me. I mean, I'm not. If you have that gut feeling, I'm not gonna steer you away from it. But if you want to know my opinion, I would play Bijan Robinson there against the New Orleans Saints. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Scrolling down. Devontae picked up an injury. Yeah, he didn't practice on Friday, so could be something to keep an eye on. Okay, we took care of Anthony Morales. Dre Day sends in a question. Says, feel like Puka ceiling is capped with Kupp, Nico Collins, or Puka Nacua. His ceiling is definitely going to be capped in comparison to where it was prior. Is it to the extent to where I'm comfortable playing Nico Collins over Puka Nacua? I could understand it. I could 100% justify playing I can 100% justify playing Nico Collins over Puka Nacua. I could. Like right now I have, but that being, okay, contingencies, right? I could justify it. Would I do it myself? Probably not, because I don't expect Cooper Kupp to being at a full 100% capacity. So if in any circumstance we're in a situation where we're getting like 80% of Cooper Kupp, like the only other passing completions this offense ever makes is to one of those 2 wide receivers. Like Tyler Higbee doesn't catch the ball, Tutu Atwell doesn't catch the ball. Maybe the running backs out of the backfield a couple times, but outside of that, they're definitely going to need Puka Nacua to be a contributing option. So I'll take Puka there. If you feel comfortable about Nico Collins, they're back-to-back in my rankings for a reason. I think they'll have similar production within the end of the week. If you think he has more upside in that circumstance, that's fine by me. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we're taking care of that. I want to go see an update on this situation in Cincinnati. Let me go find this real quick. If I look up, there we go, Bengals. Let's see here. Is there anything that we're looking at? Nothing at all. Nothing yet. Again, it looks like clear skies. The local news there, WKRC TV, based on this picture, suggests it's a pretty good weather. We'll see, though. We'll see. Anything can happen. Moving on. We had a question that came in from, after Anthony Morales, we go to Abil Ruzome, who says, Ruzome. I'm going to assume that's the pronunciation. Apologies if it's not. It says, pick one in a PPR flex. Pittman, Pacheco, Ridley, Puka. Pittman, Pacheco, Ridley, Puka. In a full PPR flex, I'll play Michael Pittman Jr. there. Again, 8+ receptions in 5 of the last 6 games with Gardner Minshew as a starting quarterback. A pretty solid play there, especially considering they take on Tampa Bay. Jamel Dean is out this week. Levante David's out this week. That defense is in shambles. Thank you. Moving on to, so we took care of Dre Day's question. I appreciate it. We took care of Abil. And we're scrolling down here. Let's see here. Gabriella sends in a question. Says, flex, full PPR, London, Deontay Johnson, or Singletary. In a full PPR, I'll take Deontay Johnson there. If the weather in Cincinnati becomes a disaster, you pivot to London. Thank you. Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray, says Donald Smith. Donald, I'll take Kyler Murray there. I have Kyler one spot ahead of him ranked, but if you want to play Justin Herbert, you can. They're back to back, but yeah, I do prefer Kyler. K9 says, that's C9R. What's your take on Jaylen Warren offensive contributions after Steelers let Matt Canada go? I would hope that they want to use him more because of his effectiveness, his inefficiencies, his overall efficiencies. But I would not be surprised if Najee Harris gets even more touches once again this week, because that's just how the offense is built as it currently stands. The thing is, like, Matt Canada is getting fired. He's getting removed. They're not changing the offense. In 1 week, you cannot change the offense enough. Like the jargon, the personnel sets, everything's going to be the same. They may call the game differently instead of running a lot of jet sweeps or, all this BS that Matt Canada liked to run for negative yardage. Instead of doing all that, maybe they'll be in a situation where they'll let, of course, the quarterback throw the ball down the middle of the field. We'll hope that, that comes to fruition, though. Okay, somebody was asking Najee Harris or Madison. Yeah, I prefer to play Najee Harris there. It's a better matchup in comparison to Madison against Chicago. And I honestly think that there's just, if we compare the two offenses, there's a higher likelihood that Minnesota begins to air it out in comparison to Pittsburgh. All right, let's see here. Gus Edwards or Hollywood Brown? I'd probably end up playing Gus Edwards there. Okay, we had a question from Stu. Yeah, is that Stu? Yeah. Stu had a question. Says full PPR, Pacheco or Warren? I'll take Pacheco there. Next question. Flex 1, Kyren Williams, Thielen, or Warren? In a full PPR, I'm fairly certain I have Kyren Williams ahead of the bunch. Let me check. We have Kyren Williams there, and we have Thielen just slightly below him, but I still have him ahead. So for right now, yeah. If I'm answering your two questions, Stu, it would be Pacheco and Kyren Williams there. Thank you. Let me scroll back up here. We had a question that came in from Tyler Hightower. Thank you, Tyler. It says 5 points per touchdown, Kyler or Trevor Lawrence? I'll still take Trevor Lawrence there. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Bernard, who says full PPR. 1 wide receiver, Collins, Ridley, Downs, Douglas. I'll take Ridley out of the 4. 1 flex, same guys, plus Warren. Okay. Plus Warren full PPR. I probably end up playing Ridley and Collins there. Thank you, Bernard. Or sorry, it's Bernard, not Bernard. Bernard. My dyslexia is kicking in. Lil Boy Blue sends in a question. Says, hey, Andrew, sorry for the long question, but should I drop Keaton Mitchell to stash Texans defense for the playoffs? My other RBs are Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, and I already have the Cowboys defense. Should you drop Keaton Mitchell to stash a defense? Look, they play against Tennessee twice in 3 weeks throughout the fantasy playoffs, which could be very favorable, especially considering the fact that this Tennessee Titans offense has looked like, just complete, hasn't looked great in the last couple of weeks. Let's just put it that way. Would I be willing to drop Keaton Mitchell for it? My biggest concern is Keaton Mitchell having himself, upside, but you're never going to start Keaton Mitchell over JT, Bijan, or Pollard. So I'm okay with dropping him. That's fine. Because in no circumstance for the remainder of the season, unless Gus Edwards goes down and Keaton Mitchell literally becomes the next Devon Achane of getting himself like 15 touches and scoring 3 touchdowns a game. Unless something of that extent takes place, which is obviously very unlikely, you're never going to start him over JT Pollard or Bijan there. Thank you. Moving on to a question that came in from Noe Meza. Says, happy Thanksgiving, Andrew. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Need a flex, half PPR, Singletary, Madison, or Dell. Yeah, it's definitely going to be Tank Dell between those three for me. I had Singletary locked in, but I'm worried that Pierce is coming back. Yeah, Pierce is definitely coming back. The coaching staff has already established that he's going to get himself a pretty good workload of opportunity there. So Tank Dell, who's obviously been the more consistent player as of late, specifically in the last 3 weeks, should be a solid play. Thank you. Warren or Jacobs says Superman. Superman, I'll play Jacobs there. Especially with Antonio Pierce, the head coach of the Raiders, coming out and saying that we want to get Josh Jacobs the ball 20 times minimum on the ground every week. The fact that they established that gives me a little bit more confidence in him in comparison to where I was earlier this week. Let's see here. London or Downs in a full PPR? Carter, I'd probably end up playing Downs there in a full PPR. That's fine. Nick in the chat was saying Rashee Rice, Singletary, or Jerome Ford, full PPR. In a full PPR, I'd probably end up playing Jerome Ford there against Denver. Atif Khan says Kyler Murray, Stroud, or Fields. Fields is high on your list, but he struggled last time against Minnesota. No, the thing about it, it wasn't that he struggled against Minnesota, it's that he left the game early with an injury. So if you just look at the box score itself, he only played, let me see here. If I go to the game against Minnesota from Chicago, let's scroll here, boom, Chicago. He only played 50% of the game. He left at halftime with the dislocated thumb. Now, that being said, if you prefer to play Stroud, be my guest. I don't have a problem with it. They're literally back-to-back for a reason. I think they're going to have very similar productive weeks. If it's a 6-point per passing touchdown, obviously it's Stroud. But yeah, in a 4-point, I do prefer Fields because of the rushing upside. Moving on, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Silas. Silas Wrightington. Yeah, Silas Wrightington. Says, am I a fool for starting Puka over Olave? I don't think you're a fool for doing that, especially like half full PPR. I mean, I have them very closely ranked. I prefer Olave because I know he's the number one in comparison to Puka, who will probably play second fiddle to Kupp today. But yeah, I don't think you're a fool for doing it. I wouldn't say that. Steelers notification says Warren and Pickens to be more featured. Hey, let's hope. Listen, here's the thing about notifications or reports. Unless the person who's reporting it to me is an actual reliable source, I will never listen to a single one of those reports. Because if you guys remember a couple weeks back, y'all kept bugging me about somebody saying, oh, TJ Hawkinson's going to be limited. And I was like, guys, I don't want to hear it. Like, I just don't want to hear it. And then I ended up changing the ranking. And then TJ Hawkinson went for 28 points that week. Remember that? Yeah, I'll never forgive you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just not going to hear any of those reports. If they want to give him more touches, give him more touches. But they got to prove it to me before I start believing it. Let's see here. Cash Kid Cardi says, standard Puka, Chase, or Thielen, or Deontay, if the weather's good. Of the bunch, if we're talking about a standard scoring format, 0 points per reception, I'd probably rather either play Chase or Thielen and hope that they score touchdowns. Okay, let's do this. Kenneth Williams sends in a question. Thank you, Kenneth. Appreciate it. Kenneth says, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, McBride, full PPR. Thanks. If the weather's good in Cincinnati, I'll take Deontay Johnson. Otherwise, we'll just pivot to playing McBride there. Thank you, Kenneth. Appreciate it. Moving on to MG3 Fit, who says full PPR, flex, Flowers, or Kyren Williams. Flowers or Kyren Williams? Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hope that Flowers has himself a big game here. I just trust that Kyren Williams coming back against Arizona, he's going to get himself a pretty high volume of opportunity. It's not going to be like 80 or 90% of the snaps, but still, if he plays 60% of the snaps and gets himself 70+% of the overall backfield workload, whether it's receptions and or, rushing attempts, should be the better play. Okay, let's see here. 3 Spooky 5 Me says, do you think Warren is a good play this week, or should we wait and see how the new OC handles things? I still think that Warren's a good play. I mean, I have him ranked higher than Najee Harris. Like, I think that even okay, let's say for example, there's a new offensive coordinator coming in. I'm sure that he's watched from the wings and has been like, "Yo, why aren't we using Jalen Warren more?" Hopefully that's been the case. If not, then obviously we'll all suffer together. But yeah, for now, I would assume that they give him just as many touches as he typically gets, and if he's just as efficient as he's been, should still be a solid play. Nomad said, "Where can I get the greetings and salutations apparel?" The apparel can be found on the link down in the description. We're still having a 25% off sale in terms of all hoodies, so that takes place until the end of Monday, and then once that sale is done, all of the apparel that is in the shop currently goes into retirement until next season's drop of new apparel. So be sure to go ahead and check that out. Links down in the description. Once you put the hoodie into the cart, the 25% discount is applied there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. We scroll down to a question that came in from Zach. Zach says, full PPR, Ty, Madison, Singletary, Deontay Johnson, Rice. PPR, pick one. If the weather is good, I'll take Deontay Johnson. If the weather is not great, I probably at that point then pivot to playing. What do we have? We have Madison, Singletary, Ty Chandler, and Rice. Let me check my full PPR. Where is Rice in comparison to these guys? So Rashee Rice is there. He's ahead of him. Yeah. So as of right now, if it's not Deontay Johnson, we play Rice. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. We had a question from Mo K. Mo says, I need two. Mixon or Javonte. Okay, so you need one, more like, right? Or you need two questions. Either way. Mixon or Javonte, I'll take Mixon. Half PPR, Downs or Keaton on the bench. In a half PPR, I'd probably rather just play Josh Downs there. Thank you, Mo. Appreciate it. All right, after Mo's question, we scroll down. We have Alejandro, who sends in a question, says half PPR. Is it fair to start Rachaad White or Kupp? Is it fair? I mean, the matter of fairness, I don't even know if that goes into my mind. I think you're just asking, like, who would I rather play? Half PPR flex. Let's check who I have ranked higher. Let's scroll here. Boom. I have Amari Cooper there. I have Rachaad White there. I have not Amari Cooper. Cooper Kupp, right? Kupp, yeah. I have Kupp ranked higher in a half PPR. Mainly because Rachaad White popped up on the injury list a little bit late in the week. So hopefully he's going to be a good go in full capacity today, but we'll have to wait and see. Why is Addison low? I mean, just looking at his usage as of late with Josh Dobbs, hasn't been a great overall potential there. So that kind of concerns me. Keaton Mitchell or Kyron Williams? Kyron Williams, 100%. Again, guys, rankings that are on screen, for those of you who are joining us, welcome, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. The rankings that are to the right side of the screen are updated as of this morning. So if you guys have any questions in regards to interpositional rankings, the rankings on screen should go ahead and display that. I also have kicker and defense rankings that you can also see on the right side of the screen to help you guys out. If you guys appreciate all the support that I continue to send you guys every single Sunday morning with these rankings, do me a favor, click the like button down below. It certainly helps continue to support the channel more than you guys could possibly imagine in terms of the overall algorithm. Thank you. And do we sit Ridley if Zay is inactive? Yeah, I would. I'm not even joking, Rob. If Zay Jones is inactive, I'm pivoting away from Ridley today. I'd rather play Christian Kirk at that point. Moving on, we had a question from, after Alejandro's question, we had one from Michael Amato. Thank you, Michael. Says, happy Thanksgiving, Andrew. Thank you. Appreciate it. Says, pick three in a 12-team full PPR. Gus, Pacheco, Ramondre, Swift. Okay. I mean, I think in a full PPR, let me just confirm it. Swift for sure has to play. And then outside of Swift, the next highest would be Pacheco. And then the third highest is, so this is how I have it. I have Swift in a full PPR as my number 7th ranked running back. Then Pacheco is 12. Gus Edwards 13. Ramondre Stevenson 14. So they're all back-to-back. For now, yes, I will take Swift, Pacheco, and Gus Edwards. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question that came in from, what is this question? Nosa in the chat was saying, pick 2 of 3. Khalil Herbert, Addison, Demario Douglas. Depends on scoring format. I'd probably end up just going Addison and Douglas there for now. Vin Jacob in the chat was saying Jacobs versus Ramondre Stevenson, half PPR. Again, the rankings that are on screen are half PPR. So between the two, I have Ramondre at 14. I have James Conner at 20. So I'll take Ramondre Stevenson there as a suggestion there, Vin. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Dominic Bueno, who says, full PPR, Zay Flowers, Joe Mixon. Full PPR between the two, I'll take Zay Flowers. Thank you. Lethal Jake says, Denver, New York Giants, New England defense this week. I have Denver for right now. I really do like the idea of playing New England's defense. I have them as my number 1 rank. You do have Denver already. They're my number 3. If you want to continue to play with Denver, that's fine by me. I don't have any problem with that in any sort of capacity, especially considering they're taking on Cleveland, 3rd-string quarterback. Pretty advantageous matchup there. So I do prefer New England, though, if you're going to make a change. If you choose to make a change, that's up to you. Thank you. All right, let's see here. After Lethal Jake's question, we have MG3 Fit, who has a follow-up, who says Flowers, Ridley, or Collins, pick 2. Yeah, Ridley and Collins would be the 2 there in a full PPR. Thank you. Scrolling down, we had a question that came in from Dylan. Dylan, thank you very much. Says, pick 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. We have Taylor, we have Connor, we have Warren, we have Kupp, we have Chase, we have Adams. We have 20, what does this say? 20 rushing yards equals 1 point. 20 receiving yards equals 1 point. 100 rushing yards equals 3 bonus points. 100 receiving yards equals 3 bonus points. Every 5 receptions is 4 points. I mean, Dylan, who is running this league? Why have you guys done this to yourselves? Just play normally. What is this? I mean, don't you guys want to see more points scored? Like, why do you guys do 1 point per 20 yards? It's so ridiculous. Either way, I'm just going to rank it as it normally would be. Between the bunch, at your 2 running back positions, I would play Warren and I would play Taylor. As for your 2 wide receivers, I would play Kupp and Adams. And within your flex, I'm playing Jamar Chase there. Thank you. So pretty much just sit James Conner out of the bunch. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Dylan Caddison in the chat was saying, I just want Justin Jefferson to say he's playing. Please, Justin, I need to make the playoffs. Yeah, you probably won't get him until week 14 if I had to guess. Cubes in the chat was saying standard scoring, pick 1 in the flex. Nico Collins, 4 to Ramondre. In a standard scoring league, 0 points per reception, I'll take Ramondre Stevenson out of the bunch. The replacements gaming says, should I play Keaton over Najee now that they say they're giving Warren more carries? I wouldn't put too much weight into that. Just play Najee, you'll be fine. Okay. Look, the thing about these reports, guys, like if they say, hey, we're going to give Jaylen Warren more carries. Okay. What is more carries? Because last week he had, like 9 carries, right? It was 9. Let me check this out. Or was it 12? I don't know what it was. It was 9. He had 9 carries last week. Okay, so what's more touches? 10? 11? Right? So like the thing is about we're going to get him more touches. Sure, they may use him more often on first downs instead of a Najee Harris. Doesn't guarantee that those plays that they call are going to be rushing attempts. Doesn't, imply that this is going to be a game in which they have a positive game script. Like, there are so many variables in football. Them just coming out and saying, hey, we're going to give him more touches. I mean, like, I can't even trust. Like, this is from Jeremy Fowler, which, again, last time I heard anything from Jeremy Fowler, you guys remember, right? A couple weeks back. Is this the same guy? Let me confirm. Because I'm pretty sure this is the guy who a couple weeks back came out and said that Zeke was going to get more touches than Ramondre. And that did not even take place. It was non-existent. Okay? Just play it as is. Don't put too much stock into this. We'll figure it out. All right, moving on. Scrolling down after we took care of Dylan question. Thank you, Dylan. I appreciate it again. Very generous. We're scrolling down here. Let me go ahead and change kicker and defensive rankings on screen to quarterback and tight end once again. Appreciate it. We had a question from Dan Sek, who says, full PPR, Olave, Flowers, James Conner in the flex. I will play Olave there. Mahomes or CJ Stroud, I'll take Mahomes. Thank you. If you prefer CJ Stroud, again, they're closely ranked, but I'll take Mahomes there. It's kind of hard for me not to play him against the Raiders. Gus Edwards or Gabe Davis? Richard, I think it's pretty easy. You play Gus Edwards. It's not even close. Like, let's think about this, right? Comparatively. Gus Edwards has had himself a top 10 fantasy performance in 4 of the last 5 games. Gabe Davis has scored himself less than 2 fantasy points in 4 of the last 6 games. So would you rather have the potential of someone getting 2 points to maybe 15 points, or a guy that's going to get himself 12 points to 22 points? It's pretty easy. They will take Gus Edwards. Bijan or Derrick Henry, says Sly the Panda. I mean, King Henry he's taking on Carolina, guys. Carolina. It's as good as it gets, guys. Little Boy Blue had a follow-up question. Says, forgot to mention that my question about the Texans defense. I also have 3 QBs in Stroud, Kyler, and Fields. Do I drop any of them? Yeah, at this point, I'll try to trade away. If you find that there are teams in your league that do not have, good enough quarterbacks for the remainder of the season, and they're probably looking to trade for a quarterback, you should probably keep in trade. Because I'm sure, if it's me, I'd like to keep Stroud and Fields for the remainder of the season, play matchups that way. So that means you could just probably trade Kyler and try to get something out of that if you possibly can there, Little Boy Blue. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We're scrolling down. We had a couple more questions that were sent in. Do appreciate you guys coming in here. If you guys haven't yet already, do me a solid. Click the like button down below. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Richard K in the chat says, good morning, Andrew. Says, standard, need one, Puka, Hopkins, or Sutton. If I was going to play them in a standard scoring league, in a standard scoring format, I think I might play it Hopkins, Puka, and Sutton in that order. Hopkins, Puka, Sutton. Guillermo in the chat says, Devin Singletary or James Conner half PPR. Again, rankings on screen for half PPR. I have James Conner at 20, Singletary at 23. Primarily because, again, the return of Dameon Pierce, who I have ranked on screen as my number 30 ranked running back. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from, there's one in the chat. Full PPR, Kyron Williams or Austin Eckler? Charles Cramp. You should play Austin Eckler, man. I mean, you should probably play both, but considering you have those 2 options, Austin Eckler is the better play. Top Gun, Finns, sends in a question. Thank you, Top Gun. Top Gun says, 2 leagues, Olave or Chase. Between the 2 of those, right? Olave, Chase. Regardless of scoring format, half PPR, full PPR, standard, I'll play Olave. Follow-up question, Ridley or Chase? I'll take Ridley there, regardless of scoring format, assuming Zay Jones is active today. Thank you. Jolly in the chat said Adam Thielen or Chase today in a full PPR league. Let me check my rankings. Full PPR rankings with no weather concerns. I have Adam Thielen ahead of Jamar Chase. So even if there is weather concerns, it just moves him down even further. Rolling Thunder in the chat says, Cincinnati, big rain coming in as a cold front sweeping over inland Ohio. In and through Ohio. Okay. Thank you very much, Rolling Thunder. Thank you for the update. Again, guys, that weather, I mean, it says 100% chance of rain. There's no way that it doesn't rain, but at the same time, I'm looking at all of the pictures of people at the stadium and there's no rain. So I'm sure there's a storm coming. I just don't know if it'll be there and active for the game. Okay, so, oh man, can I stream this? Can I? I guess I could. Okay. Give me a second. All right, here we go. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to do something, guys. 1 second. Okay, here we go. So I just took a screenshot of something, okay? This was posted by the Cincinnati Bengals official Twitter page or X page, whatever the heck you want to call it, okay? 11 minutes ago, all right? So I've screenshotted this sucker. Let me save it to my desktop. Now, again, you got to remember, it's 8:30. There's an hour and a half before this game even, kicks off. So there's a lot of time, okay? Just putting that into perspective. There's a lot of time. But technically, looking at the weather, as of right now, you see this? We're looking at this. This is a screenshot from the Twitter page of the actual Cincinnati Bengals. Okay? The weather doesn't look like it's raining. Definitely it's not raining. But it could get there, right? The clouds aren't, they're not crazy right now. So right now we're looking clean. Okay? We'll use this as a rule of thumb, updated as of 11 minutes ago. That's our rule of thumb for now. We'll keep it updated, okay? Appreciate it, guys. All right, Brennan sends in a question. Thank you, Brennan. Brennan's question is, let's see if I can find it. Brennan said, in a half PPR, I have 1 wide receiver and 2 flex spots open. Which of these 4 players would you start? Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Christian Kirk. Would you feel comfortable stacking Puka and Kyron Williams, or rather Nico and Kirk over Puka? No, I would feel comfortable playing Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, and Nico Collins there. I would bench Christian Kirk this week. Thank you, Brennan. I appreciate it. Moving on to a question that came in from JD, who says PPR, Hopkins or Connor? I'm already starting Henry. I would play Hopkins there. Thank you. Again, we're going to have to wait until the official active/inactive reports come out from the Carolina Panthers. Let me go to Twitter and see if any of that has been released. Let me just check for clarity's sake. Carolina Panthers. Let's see. Do they have anything from their actual thing? Okay, so once the Carolina Panthers publish their active/inactive roster, there's a chance that both of their starting cornerbacks, CJ Henderson and JC Horn, and their starting safety, if I'm not mistaken, where's my injury report list here? And their starting safety, Jeremy Chin, they could all 3 of them be out because, yeah, there's a chance that all of them could be out. We'll keep an eye on that. And that definitely makes a huge difference. But yeah, for right now, we'll take Hopkins. Lethal Jake says, worried about OBJ at all in the flex over him with London? Do I want to worried about OBJ at all or flex him over London? I mean, at this point, he's coming off the shoulder injury. The only difference between the two, between him and London, is that London is just the only receiver on that team that's like an actual wide receiver. Outside of that, it's just like Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith who will get targets from Desmond Ridder. But like based on the overall consistency of play that we have seen over the course of the connection between Drake London and Desmond Ridder, whether it was last season or even this season, so far when they play together, I mean, outside of week 1 of this season, he's been a pretty solid play thus far. Like, let me see here. Where's Drake London? Drake London, weeks 2 through 7 with Desmond Ridder as a starting quarterback, averaging 8 targets, 5 catches, 64 yards, 11.2 half PPR fantasy points per game. That's a pretty solid week. So I have no problem playing him over OBJ in that capacity. I think OBJ could probably get himself, or should probably get himself, close to 10 fantasy points. But, you know, Drake London typically is the, between the two offenses, the only guy that could really be a touchdown threat outside of Bijan Robinson. Because, I mean, maybe Desmond Ridder runs it in, but outside of that, those other receiving options on that team doesn't catch anything in the red zone. They don't get much opportunity there. Okay, moving on. I see we have a spam bot. Okay, let's go ahead and let's get rid of that. All right, I got rid of the spam bot. Sorry, guys. Goodness gracious. Dude, how much? He was spamming for 5 minutes, huh? Interesting. All right. I took care of it. It's fine. Don't worry about it, guys. All right, let's see here. We're good to go. All right, cool. Scrolling down. Let's see here. So after... All right, Brennan said he screwed up his first super chat. Said, I screwed up my first super chat, LOL. Half PPR. Would you rather stack Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua in the flex or start Kyron Williams and Christian Kirk in the flex? I would play Kyron and Puka. There, thank you. Appreciate it. Arturo in the chat said Ridley or Moore. Again, the rankings on screen. I'd play Moore over Ridley. Thank you. Pierce is active. Yep, we know that. We had a question that was sent in from Andrew. Andrew says, higher floor, Gus Edwards or Joe Mixon? Leaning towards Joe. I think Gus Edwards has the higher floor. Thank you. Again, 9 touchdowns in the last 5 games. I know that Joe Mixon has scored a touchdown in 3 consecutive games, but without Joe Burrow, less likelihood that they get into the red zone, in my opinion. Trey McBride or James Cook full PPR. I'd probably play Trey McBride there. Yeah, I'd probably play him over the... Yeah, let's take that. Let's see here. We had a question from CG who says, Thielen, Dell, Kyron Williams, full PPR. If I'm playing one of the 3, I'll take Dell out of those 3. Adams versus Kansas City, question mark? I don't understand that follow-up question, CG. Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, what's the extension of that? Like, Is it Dell versus Adams? I'm still going to play Dell over Adams there. So for now, yeah, between Thielen, Kyron Williams, Dell, it would be Dell in a full PPR. If it's playing Adams or Kyron Williams in a full PPR, I'll still take Adams there against Kansas City. That's fine by me. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from Rando Commando, who says, Najee Harris, Drake London, Jalen Warren, full PPR. I need one. Let me see if I have Jalen Warren higher than Drake London in comparison. Warren, I have there. Okay, I have Drake London at 38. I have Jalen Warren at 41 in my full PPR rankings. If you think that Jalen Warren is going to have himself a high upside performance, then you can play him. Otherwise, my suggestion is to go with Drake London there. Thank you. Jamie Cervantes says, sit one full PPR, Olave, Adams, Kyron Williams. In a full PPR, I'm probably sitting Kyron Williams there. I'll take both the receivers. Let me confirm this with my rankings. Yes, I have both of those wide receivers in the flex, higher ranked than Kyron Williams. Thank you. Okay, let me scroll back down here. We're good to go. Awesome. All right, we're catching up. We had a question that came in from John Koziar, who says, drop Fournette for Bigsby to reactivate Kyron. Drop Fournette or Bigsby to reactivate Kyron. Drop Fournette or I'd be more than happy dropping Fournette. He's still on the practice squad. Even if he's activated, I don't think he gets many carries going forward. Yeah. Thank you. Moving on to Jarvis, who had a question. Jarvis, where are you at? Jarvis says full PPR, Ridley or Stevenson? I'll take Ridley there. What about Kincaid or McBride full PPR? I have McBride ahead of Kincaid in a full PPR. Thank you, Jarvis. Appreciate it. Do you have any other questions, Jarvis? Full PPR. We took care of that. Good to go. Thank you, Jarvis. Appreciate it. Okay, so we've caught up on Super Chat questions. I appreciate you all being patient with that. If you guys need to see kicker and defensive rankings, I'll go ahead and transition that on screen right now. We're good to go. Appreciate y'all. Let me get a water, rejuice, and we're good to go. All right, so where are we at here? Let's go back to Twitter real quick. Let's see if there's anything about the Cincinnati Bengals offense or weather report here. Let's go back. Let's go back. Anything new that needs to be designated here? Okay, they're warming up on the field. No rain still. Okay, we're good. We're good. Let's hope for the best. All right, questions in the chat. We had one from Hip Hop Block who just sent in a super chat. Thank you, Hip Hop, who says, start Puka or Cup? Is Cup still a little injured? He technically could still be a little bit injured, especially considering, again, it's only been 1 week since he sustained that ankle injury. He tried to give it a go at the end, at the back end of last week's game. My assumption is that if he's going to be 85 to 90% of himself, I would still rather play him over Puka Nacua against the Arizona Cardinals. If you would like to play Puka, I don't have a problem with it. I wouldn't argue against one way or the other. I think they're both going to be solid plays. As for the remaining players for today, but yeah, I do prefer Cup. TT Toms says, I can't decide between Downs and Shaheed in a full PPR. I really want to play both over Kirk this week, then do it. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. If you want to play both over them, go for it. Let's see here. Puka or Mixon in a standard with distance bonus. I think at that point in the standard format, when you're getting 0 points per reception, I think Mixon's probably the better play there. CG says, Kansas City wide receiver shut down top-tier wide receiver. Sorry, Kansas City secondary shut down top-tier wide receivers. Just worried about that? Yeah. No, I understand your concern. It's not like I'm not concerned either. But the thing is, I can only be afraid so much when it comes to Devontae Adams. If he's going to continue to get himself a high volume of opportunity, because, again, there's nobody really else to catch the ball in that offense. Sure, a couple sprinkles to Jacoby Myers, a couple sprinkles to Hunter Renfrow, Michael Mayer. Outside of that, there needs to be a high dosage of Devontae Adams for this offense to have any sort of semblance of success. And especially if they're in a negative game script, garbage time, I feel like Devontae Adams can cook throughout that span. Isaiah Likely or Evan Ingram in a full PPR. I have Isaiah Likely ranked higher, if I'm not mistaken. Primarily because of course, the return of Zay Jones, definitely impacting his overall usage and target opportunity there. All right, we had a question that came in from Billy Bishop, who says, pick 2, half PPR, Kyron Williams, Jalen Warren, Isaiah Pacheco, Ramondre Stevenson. Again, half PPR, the rankings are on screen. So as for Kyron Williams, I have him at 10. I have Isaiah Pacheco at 13, Ramondre at 14, and Jalen Warren at number 16. So the 2 out of the 4 would be Kyron Williams and Isaiah Pacheco there today. Thank you. Okay. Good morning, Andrew. DeAndre Hopkins or Christian Kirk in a full PPR? I'll take DeAndre Hopkins there, Kevin Smith. Ray Barrera says full PPR, flex one, Nico Collins or Jerome Ford. In a full PPR, I'd rather have Nico Collins there. Mike 009 says, hey, Andrew, which one? Puka Nacua or Isaiah Pacheco? What's the scoring format, Mike? Carlos Nunez says, Josh Jacobs or Dalton Kincaid? That's also another question about scoring format, but I probably would play Jacobs regardless. Let's see here. Why do you have Flowers so high when he hasn't done anything? It's the matchup. It's purely just a matter of matchup. Matchup in an absence of Mark Andrews makes a recipe for success there. You got to remember maybe you didn't hear it because I posted a video on Wednesday for wide receiver rankings. Throughout that video, when I was talking about Zay Flowers, it's just a matter of this offense, specifically, now that they do not have the potential of Mark Andrews, especially down in the red zone, considering the touchdown volume that he's had. I mean, the play in which Mark Andrews went down with the injury, the guy was getting a target in the red zone. Without that available, that just boosts all the other fantasy potential options, especially within the receiving game, because we already know that as long as they're on the goal line, Gus Edwards is getting the ball on a consistent basis. But so touchdown upside increases on top of the fact that they take on a defense that over the course of the last 2 weeks has given up over 225 receiving yards to opposing wide receiver groups. Over the course of the last 7 weeks, against actual sufficient offenses that are not the Jets or the Chicago Bears with a backup quarterback, they've given up over 175 receiving yards to every single opposing wide receiver core. And 1 touchdown minimum. So the Chargers secondary is a dumpster fire. That's primarily the reason why we want to fire up a guy like Zay Flowers. And of course, OBJ, who of course is ranked a little bit lower, but still in the same conversation. Revis Island says, half PPR, start 2, Madison, Addison, Najee, Hollywood. Half PPR from starting 2 of those 4, I'd play Najee Harris and I'd play Hollywood Brown. Thank you. Standard scoring format, Henry or Cup. I'd play Henry there, Jam. Tone says Ramondre Stevenson or Puka Nacua. Need a safe play. What's the scoring format, guys? Guys, please do me a favor. If you're going to type in a question, what's your scoring format? If it's a full PPR, I'd probably play Puka there as a safe play. If it's a half, I'll probably play Ramondre. If it's a standard, I'd probably play Ramondre as well there. Format definitely does make a difference, guys. Rando Commando has a follow-up, says, I need an RB2. Harris, Warren, or Herbert. I'll take Warren there. Thank you. Warren or Ritter in the Superflex? Michael Lewis, I would play Ritter there in the Superflex, actually. Let's see here. Full PPR, Douglas, Rice, Ridley. Choose one. Ridley. Yeah. Okay, let's scroll down. We had a couple more super chats sent in. I do appreciate that. Pollux, World of Entertainment, says, pick one. Full PPR. Hollywood, Rondell Moore, Greg Dortch, Josh Downs, Chris Godwin. Okay, full PPR. Let me check my rankings. Full PPR, wide receiver. So of the ones that you mentioned, did you mention Josh Downs? Did I read that correctly? Josh Downs. Josh Downs is the highest rank that I have of the players that you mentioned. Yeah. Greg Dortch is second highest. Yeah, Pollard or Pollux. The rankings on screen are not for a full PPR, it's for a half PPR. So in a full PPR capacity, it would be Downs number 1, Dortch number 2 within the group that you have there, Pollux. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alex F says, full PPR, Madison, Chandler, Downs, or Douglas. Madison, Chandler, Downs, or Douglas. Yeah, between those 4 in a full PPR capacity, if I go check my rankings, I have DeMario Douglas ahead of Downs. Those are the 2 that I would like to run in this week's circumstance. So if you're only playing 1, I would play DeMario Douglas there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Lee in the super, not even super chat, just in the regular chat. It says, Ritter or Bryce Young, Superflex. I'll take Ritter there. I don't think I can trust Bryce Young. It's too difficult. Mike says, Andrew, it's 1 point per reception, full PPR, Puka Nacua or Isaiah Pacheco. I'm fairly certain I have Puka Nacua ranked higher. Puka's my number 25. Isaiah Pacheco's my number 28 in a full PPR. Pretty close. Tyree says, are you knowledgeable of any IDP rankings, full PPR. No, I don't play any IDP leagues myself. Individual defensive player, I don't play those. So I wouldn't even know where to start, honestly. JK says you skipped my super chat. I think I did. Yeah, you're right. JK, I got you. It says full PPR, start one running back, one wide receiver, one flex. Rashad White, Najee Harris, Gus Edwards, Devontae Smith, Pickens, Flowers, London. Okay, so pretty good players here across the board. The running back that I'd like to play out of the bunch is Rashad White as your RB1. The wide receiver one that I'd like to play out of the bunch, between the available options, if I go to full PPR, I think I have Zay Flowers ranked the highest of the bunch. Let me check. Zay Flowers. And then as for your flex, I'm probably playing Gus Edwards. So White, Flowers, and Gus. Thank you. So we took care of his. Okay. So that was the only question that I missed, right? Yeah. We got that. We took care of that. We took care of Alex. Perfect. We had one from Bassa B. Thank you, Bassa. It says standard league. Should I trade Jordan Addison for Kareem Hunt? My current running backs are Pollard, Herbert, Aaron Jones. My other receivers are St. Brown, Nico Collins, Downs, and Pickens. Should I trade Addison for Kareem Hunt? In a standard scoring format, Aaron Jones will probably miss maybe one more week, maybe two. It's an MCL sprain rather than an actual tear, so that's really good for him in terms of not having to miss a lot of time. We need an RB2 in a standard league. I'm okay with the trade. That's fine by me. I don't think you're going to be playing Addison over these alternative options for the remainder of the season in a standard league. So for now, I'm okay with it. Especially with Justin Jefferson returning in week 14. It definitely does diminish the potential of Jordan Addison going forward as well. Olave or Jerome Ford in the flex. I'll take Olave there. Olave or Bijan Robinson. I'll take Bijan. Patrick Keeney says full PPR Warren, Flowers, Gus, DJ. Pick 2, full PPR. I'd probably end up playing Gus and DJ there. Flex Cup or Kyron. Probably playing Cup there. Especially in a full PPR. If it's a half PPR, I don't mind playing Kyron. But it just depends on your scoring format. Don't know what you have. Trevor Bollinger says, Andrew, Komet or Likely at my tight end. And flex otherwise can do Robert Woods, Royce Freeman. Okay, so what I would suggest there, Trevor, is playing both tight ends. I'd play Komet and Likely. One is your tight end, one is your flex. In a half PPR. Thank you. All right. I see a question from Rowit. Rowit, what's up, man? It says, hey, Andrew. Trade Stroud, Ridley, Goddard for Dell and Myers. Full PPR. My starting quarterback is Dak. My tight end is Trey McBride. I have Ridley as my wide receiver 2. Trying to improve my wide receiver core before the trade deadline. So you want to trade Stroud, Ridley, and Goddard for Dell and Myers. Myers is irrelevant. Goddard is irrelevant in this overall trade. So you're basically just sending away Ridley and Stroud for Dell. You already have a better quarterback for the remainder of the season. You're just making a slight improvement at wide receiver. This is the best deal you can get. I don't mind it. Alrighty, let's see here. Flowers or Javonte Williams in a half PPR? Flowers or Javonte Williams? PPR. Let's see who I have ranked higher. Half PPR. Javonte. I have a 38 in my flex. Flowers, I have a 31. So Flowers would be my suggestion out of the two. Thank you. Okay, so some of the active / inactive lists are coming out. Good to know. Good. Dexter Lawrence of the Giants is out today. Interesting. That makes it running the ball for Ramondre Stevenson that much easier. Wow. Okay. We'll see how that goes. All right. Scrolling down. Let's see here. Says, I see your rankings. I have Gus Edwards, Mixon, Ramondre. I can start 2 of them, but I'm projected to lose by 15 right now. Which 2 should I play in a full PPR? I think the highest upside of the options you have there, IGN, Faucet failure. I think the highest upside is Ramondre and Gus Edwards there. Gaga sends in a question via Super Chat. Thank you, Gaga. Gaga says, flex Sutton versus tough Cleveland defense or Likely versus Cupcake Chargers defense. Let's see who I have ranked higher in full PPR. I want to play Likely there, honestly. I don't want to play Sutton. Not when I have an alternative option like that. As of right now, in a full PPR, I have Likely as my number 50 overall flex player and Sutton as my number 59. So I'll take Likely there. Thank you. Cup or Evans full PPR? I like them both. I prefer Cup though. Should I give it another try? Says Davido. Davido, what happened, man? What do we give it another try? Davido has a question. All right, I see it. Let me see your question, Davido. Says I'm spamming, but I'm typing it in a different format. Okay, let me get to your question, Davido. He says, I need to win this week. I'm going to half PPR scoring from adding one wide receiver, one tight end, and one flex. We have Taysom Hill, McBride, Kincaid, Amari Cooper, London, and Kirk. Okay, so half PPR, one wide receiver, one tight end, one flex. Okay, the tight end I'm playing out of the three is McBride in a half PPR. The wide receiver that I'm playing out of the three in a half PPR would be Drake London. And the flex that I would play is Dalton Kincaid. So McBride, Kincaid, and London out of the options you have there, Davidu. All right, let's see here. Errol Hayden says, start Evan Ingram or David Njoku. I have David Njoku ranked higher, half PPR and full PPR. Pollock says, there is still a chance that Hollywood Brown does not play today. Yes, there still is a chance, potentially. We'll see. Again, if I'm not mistaken, do they play in the afternoon? I think they play in the afternoon slate, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let's see here. NFL Week 12. So they play in the... Yes, they play in the afternoon slate. So there's still a chance. We could get a pregame warm-up. He's inactive. Makes Dortch maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse. We'll have to wait and see. Time will tell. Okay, we had a couple questions sent in via Super Chat. Let me get to these. After Gaga's question, we had one that came from Joseph Romero, who said half PPR pick 2, Adams, Flowers, Mixon. Half PPR. Adams has to play between Flowers and Mixon. Let me see. I have... Where is Mixon in this list? I have Flowers ahead of Mixon in a half PPR. Thank you. Moving on to Gary Mandel, who says, full PPR, start Taylor and Pittman or Kamara and Allen. Taylor or Pittman, Kamara or Allen. Full PPR, I'd rather play Kamara and Allen. If I can only play one of the two bunches, I'd rather have Kamara and Allen. I don't know if that's like a DFS question or what the deal is there, but yeah, that's where I would go. Hisham says, standard league, Stevenson, Collins, Devontae Smith. Standard scoring format, 0 points per reception. I played Ramondre Stevenson there. Godwin or Singletary, full PPR. Let me check my ranking there, Tim. Godwin is there. Singletary is... Where's Singletary? This is full PPR, right? Yeah, okay, Singletary. Where are you? Yeah, it's Godwin. Nakua or Ridley is my full PPR wide receiver 2. Ridley. Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray. I have Kyler Murray ranked higher on screen. Actually, now I have him ranked higher on screen. Sorry. Apologies. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Zach again. Zach says, Zach Bonick says, Greg Dortch, sneaky start of the week. Yeah, I mean, that's why I have him ranked, right? I wouldn't have him ranked unless I thought he was going to play well. And considering there's a chance that Marquise Hollywood Brown plays today, there's even more potential for Greg Dortch potentially within that offense, getting himself pretty good workload as a power slot receiving option. All right, we had a couple questions here. Let's see here. Where are we at? So we took care of Zach's question. We had one from Alex Howard, who says, should I start Breece Hall? Sorry, should I trade Breece Hall for Achane? That offensive line is terrible. So, yeah. I mean, Like the rushing yard totals of Breece Hall in the last 6 weeks have all been less than 40 yards, if I'm not mistaken, right? Am I crazy? Breece Hall. His rushing yard totals 25, 23, 28, 50, 17, 39. He's had only one game of over 40 yards. It's rough, man. That being said, he does get himself a lot of receiving utilization. Like 7 catches, 24 yards. That's a pretty good week on on Friday, right? 5 catches for 50 in a touchdown the week before. 3 catches for 47, 4 catches for 10, 6 catches for 76, 5 catches for 54. Like, he gets himself a lot of PPR workload there. But I'm just telling you objectively, regardless of whether or not Aaron Rodgers plays, this offense cannot run the ball. Their offensive line is awful. It is a disaster that this team at this capacity has so many injuries amongst their offensive line. I would feel more confident with HN remainder of the season. I think he has more opportunities to score touchdowns, to have more upside within their offense. And especially if they use him at the capacity which they were earlier this season, eventually, he should be the better play. All right, let's see here. We got a question that came from Albert who says Flowers or James Cook. I'll take Flowers there. Thank you. Let me go ahead. Let me kill this spam bot again. All righty. I took care of the spam bot, guys. Don't worry. We're good. Can you show kickers? Yeah, I'll get to it in a moment. Thank you. Evan Ingram or Isaiah Likely full PPR? Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Let me click here. Boom. Full PPR. I have Isaiah Likely at number 7, and I have Evan Ingram at number 8 in a full PPR as my tight end rankings. So I will take Isaiah Likely there again. Thank you. Boomer sends in a question. Says full PPR, pick 2, Kupp, Nakua, Jamar Chase. I'll take both of the Rams wide receivers. Yeah, just give me them both. Just don't miss out on any points there. You know what I mean? All right, so somebody was asking for kicker rankings. Let me go ahead and show these for a couple seconds, and then I'll switch back to quarterback and tight end. Thank you. Stop ranking Stafford says Maine. Cool. Have a good day. Moving on. We had a question from Ahmed who says, good morning, Andrew. Would you start Kyron Williams or Nico Collins? Half PPR. PS. Okay, we should be good. Good to hear, Ahmed. So between the bunch you have Kyron Williams or Nico Collins and a half PPR, I'd rather play Kyron Williams. If it was a full PPR, I'd probably feel the other way, but considering the half PPR nature of this format, let's go Kyron Williams there. Thank you. Craig Wilkie says, thoughts on Deontay Johnson? Should be a solid play today. Assuming the weather stays, solid. And it's not a complete disaster of rain. Salvador says, Deontay Johnson, Godwin, OBJ. I have Deontay Johnson ranked the highest, assuming the weather's good. Otherwise, it's OBJ. We had a question that came in from Mike Taylor in the chat. It says, Harrison Butker or Evan McPherson? Again, rankings are on screen. I have Harrison Butker at 3. I don't even have Evan McPherson ranked amongst the kickers that are available. Just not interested in that. Alrighty. Xavier W sends in a question. Says, why Kupp over Olave when Olave was higher earlier this week? Do you think Kupp will make it all game? Yeah, I do. The only reason I had Cooper Kupp ranked as low as I did was just out of hey, we don't know where he's going to be this week, whether he plays or doesn't play. If he does end up playing, he should be a solid player. And considering we got to a position to where he had full practice participation by Friday, and they already went ahead and said, hey, he's playing, that gives me the indication that he's healthy, and that because he's healthy, there should be a pretty good usage, share, at least in terms of the fact that they take on Arizona. Arizona is the 5th best matchup in terms of wide receivers. Arizona can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. It just seems like an all Rams kind of week. So, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable playing up there instead of Olave. Why Herbert over Singletary and Madison? Thanks. Currently, the only reason that is the case, Mr. 1972 Dean, is because Deontay Foreman is unlikely to play. And with that being the case, Herbert most likely gets back to his kind of workload share that we saw earlier this season prior to his injury on that Thursday Night Football game against Washington. So with that being the case, if I'm thinking Madison, he has to deal with Chandler. They both take on Chicago's run stop. Not fun. And then we have Singletary. He has Dameon Pierce. They both have to take on Jacksonville's run stop defense. Those are literally the 2 best run stop defenses in the National Football League since week 5. in comparison to Herbert, who takes on Minnesota. Sure, it's not a beautiful matchup, but in comparison, better matchup, better pizza Papa John. No, better matchup, less potential of his overall shares being taken away from him because Roshan Johnson isn't as big of a threat. And to be totally honest, I mean, with Justin Fields there, I think the offense just functions better. Moving on to Zachary Sands, who says, why Ridley over Kirk? Also, why Lawrence over Kyler? Ridley over Kirk primarily because when Zay Jones is active, Ridley's the only, kind of relevant wide receiver within this offense. Whenever you put an other wide receiver on the opposite side of the field so they can't double cover Calvin Ridley for majority of the day, it gives Ridley a huge boost in overall potential. Like with Zay Jones on the field, Ridley's averaging 17 points per game in a half PPR, and Kirk is averaging 8.9 points per game in a half PPR. If you swap that and you get rid of Zay Jones, it's a significant boost where like Christian Kirk's averaging like 13 points per game and Calvin Ridley's averaging less than 9 points per game. Let's see here. Levis or Minshew in a super flex? I'll take Minshew there. I have Levis as my number 17. I think he's the only quarterback that I thought about adding onto this list that I didn't at the very end. I took Ritter instead of him. Let's see here. We had a question that came in. Okay, so as your secondary question, Zachary, as for Lawrence or Kyler, I think the game, just off of implicated points from Vegas in terms of total points, it should be a shootout between these two teams. Both their secondaries are not great, have dealt with a lot of injuries. This should be a shootout in terms of passing the ball back and forth between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. In order to keep up with the Houston Texans, which is, again, one of the more powerful offenses in the league, assuming, of course, Stroud doesn't throw 3 picks in a game, should be a higher scoring event where, of course, Lawrence has to throw the ball for majority of the contest. Thank you. Samuel SZE says non-PPR, Cup, Swift, Kyron. Between those three in a non-PPR, I'd probably take Swift. Famous Maker says half PPR, Cup, DJ Moore, Javonte Williams, or Bijan in the flex. Let me check who I have ranked highest in my half PPR rankings. So Cup and Bijan is primarily the question there, right? And then you also have what? You also have DJ Moore and Javonte Williams. So it would be currently, assuming we have a full healthy capacity Cooper Kupp 1, Bijan 2. Who's the third player again? DJ Moore 3 and Javonte 4. Thank you. Thor sends in a question. Thank you, Thor. Says the following. Running back spot, Gus, Pacheco, or Warren. Assuming it's a half PPR, the rankings on screen, I'll take Gus Edwards over Pacheco. If it's a full PPR, I'll take Pacheco over Gus Edwards. That's it. Thank you. Jorge Perez sends a question, but I don't... There it is. Says, good morning. Full PPR, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. We have Mixon, Kyron, Addison, Puka, Kupp. Starting running back and receivers are Etienne, AJ Brown, and Dell already. Okay. So if you need 1 running back, I'll take Kyron Williams. If you need 1 wide receiver and 1 flex, I'll take Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Thank you. So pretty much starting all the Rams. Patrick Bradley sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Javonte Williams or Hollywood Brown? Between the two of them, I'd probably play Javonte. Let's see here. Just Chrome says, Chase or Flowers? Full PPR, want a safe floor. I'll take Flowers there. Thank you. Assuming, again, you're talking about safe floor of production. Like Chase is just all risk. That's just all it is. It's all implied risk because, of course, the quarterback. How do we feel about Pickens with the new OC? I mean, I have him ranked where I have him ranked. Where is he on this list? 30? He kind of has to prove it to me before I can rank him anywhere higher. Dilo sends in a super set, says, good luck, Andrew. Thank you, Dilo. Appreciate it. Much love. Let's see here. We had a question that came in earlier from Brett McCoy. Brett, thank you very much. Says non-PPR. First team. Okay. Who do I flex? Pacheco, Jalen Warren, Devontae Smith. In a non-PPR, I'd play Isaiah Pacheco out of those 3. Follow-up, team 2. Who do I flex? Puka, Khalil Herbert, or Singletary, assuming it's also a standard scoring format, 0 points per reception. Let me see where I have them. Okay. Let's check here. F3, let's look up Puka. And then I need Herbert. In a standard scoring format, 0 points per reception, I will take... It's so tough. It's so tough. I'll take Puka Nacua there. I was thinking about suggesting Khalil Herbert. It's close, man. I'd still take Puka there. Sit Mahomes over Dobbs? No, I'd still play Mahomes. Thank you. Chris Berardi sends in a question. Thank you, Chris. Says flex one, half PPR, Javonte Williams, Jalen Warren, or Hollywood Brown. If I'm flexing one of the three, I would like to play the ones that are ranked higher on screen. I have Jalen Warren right here at 16 and Javonte at 17 between the two because Hollywood Brown's still to be determined. I'll take Jalen Warren. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. We had a question that came in after. Okay, let's go ahead. We have another spam account. Congratulations. I don't understand how these are like. I think this is hilarious. Someone takes time out of their day to support the channel. It's great. Viewership, and they get questions spammed in the chat, man. That only helps the algorithm. I mean, honestly, it does. We had a question from Alex Apking. Alex, nice time to see you, man. Long time no see, huh? All right, Alex, what do we got here? Full PPR, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Adam Thielen. Need an RB2 and a flex out of these three. Yeah, the two that I would play are Josh Jacobs and Adam Thielen. Alex, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Would you start Nacua or Mixon over Herbert in the Superflex? No, I wouldn't. Patrick Guerin. I would rather just play Herbert there. Ryan Miles. Let's see here. Ryan Miles says, start Austin Eckler or Tank Dell in my flex. Montgomery or Mostert already played. Montgomery and Mostert already played. And my wide receivers are Keenan Allen and A.J. Brown. Okay, let's see here. What is it? Eckler or Tank Dell? So in my half PPR flex, I have Eckler ranked higher than Tank Dell by 2 spots. He's my number 5 compared to my number 7. In a full PPR, my flex rankings, I have Tank Dell literally right behind him. I have Eckler 1 spot ahead of him. So in both circumstances, I'm playing Eckler over Dell this week. Thank you very much. Obviously, it has to do with touchdown upside primarily. That's pretty much the biggest difference maker for Eckler compared to everybody else. He just has so much more opportunity for touchdowns. Alrighty. Now that we took care of Ryan's question, thank you again. B Normie says, really appreciate all your hard work, Andrew. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jay sends in a question. Let's hear Jay. Nope, that's not it. Why is my F3 function not working? F3. Thank you. Jesus. Okay, here we go. Oh, man. It is so hard to find. Okay, there it is. What is the reason for Barkley above Ford? Because the Broncos are the worst ranked run stop defense. Yeah, the primary reason is because Kareem Hunt exists. And then to follow that up, the Denver Broncos, even though they're a terrible run stop defense, 100%. You know it. We've talked about it every single running backs video for the last 2 months in terms of them allowing rushing statistics to opposing running backs. It's a fantastic matchup. The issue that I have is primarily Kareem Hunt can always steal a rushing touchdown. If it takes place, it really will impact the overall upside of Jerome Ford. On top of it, in comparison to Barkley, less receiving utilization. On top of that, third string quarterbacks. Yes, they both have third string quarterbacks playing. I'm anticipating that clearing away the Denver Broncos defense that is much improved in terms of the defense as a whole, they're just going to stack the box and they're going to force DTR to throw the whole game. They're going to say, hey, throw against Patrick Surtain. Do us a favor. And if that's going to take place, which I anticipate it to do, I think it'll be less of a rushing kind of. I mean, it's not about a matter of priority. It's just a less of rushing upside from a guy like Jerome Ford in comparison to Barkley, who has all of the workload, played 91% of the snaps last week, and is, of course, going to see himself probably 20-plus touches today. Panda Man says, I'm looking for a flex start between Jalen Warren and Devontae Smith in a full PPR. Also love the channel. Thank you very much. Between the two in a full PPR, I'd probably just play Devontae Smith there. Thank you. Jay Schilling said, Gus Edwards or Calvin Ridley in a full PPR. In a full PPR, I'd probably just play Calvin Ridley there. Thank you. Legit Llama says, full PPR, Ramondre, Gus, or Jalen Warren. If I'm not mistaken, in a full PPR, I have, let's check here. Boom, boom, boom. I have Gus Edwards ranked above the boat. So I'll take Gus Edwards there. Thank you. Moving on to Cheeks. Cheeks Mohiques says, traded Waddle and Kyron Williams for Eckler. My running backs are Eckler, Stevenson, Javonte, Charbonnet. My wide receivers are Amon Ra, Adams, Thielen, Pickens. And Watson, full PPR. What do you think? I probably would have kept it. I probably would have kept Waddle and Kyron Williams there if it was me. I just like having depth. I know that Eckler can be like a solid 20-point player every week, but I think like having Waddle as that wide receiver 3 and Kyron Williams as that RB2 for the remainder of the season, you don't need it technically, right? Because you have Eckler as the wide receiver 2. Yeah, you would have. Well, no, Eckler is now your RB1. Yeah. So technically, if Eckler's there, Stevenson, Javonte, and Kyron Williams, a little bit more depth, potential. Yeah, I probably would have kept it, especially in a full PPR capacity. But let's just hope that Eckler balls out for the remainder of the season. Thank you. Redify says, I'm playing Rachaad White over Kupp this week. Thoughts? I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, if it's my decision, I probably would. Look, we're talking about both players that are technically coming off of injuries, right? So, like, anything could happen. Anything. Just like Devon H had a couple weeks ago, right? We thought, oh, okay, he's coming off his injury. He had an extra bye week, should be healthy, no problem. Gets injured immediately. Anything could happen. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably end up playing Kupp there. But I do not mind at all playing Rachaad White. I think he'll have himself a pretty good game against a very advantageous matchup against Indianapolis. Has the rain started in Cincinnati? Let me check. It does not. I'm looking at a video. Nope, doesn't look like any rain as of right now. No rain. It's definitely a cold weather game. I'll tell you that much. People are bundled up, but as of rain, no rain yet. And I don't honestly think by the time we get to this game kicking off, I don't think there's going to be rain. Let's see here. We had a question from Thor again. Thor Mendeville, who says, flex spot, Kirk, Gus, Warren, full PPR. Christian Kirk, Gus Edwards, Jalen Warren. I'll take Gus Edwards there again. I just think there's too much inherent upside there with his touchdown potential. We had a question that was sent in from Zachary. Zachary, where are... It didn't get attached. Let me see here, Zachary. There it is. It says Amari Cooper, Rashee Rice, or Najee Harris. Oh, wow. That's a good one. Let me check. Where's Najee Harris in comparison to these guys? Najee Harris in a full PPR I have there. I have Amari Cooper there, and I have Rashee Rice there. Okay. So those are your 3 options. I'd play Najee Harris out of the 3. Zachary, thank you for sending in that question. Moving on to the Mad Capper, who says full PPR Puka or Kupp. Kupp killed me last week. Yeah, I mean, look, that's because he left the game due to injury. If you think he's going to leave the game due to an injury, you play Puka. I don't think that'll be the case. I don't think they'd send him out there unless he was healthy enough to be able to sustain the entire workload of the game. So I'm expecting Kupp to be the better play this week. Thank you. Catherine Stokely says, I need one in a full PPR from Zay Flowers, Khalil Herbert, Deontay Johnson, Keaton Mitchell, Javonte Williams, and Ramondre Stevenson. Okay, so full PPR, I think it's between Zay Flowers or Ramondre. Let me see who I've ranked higher. Let me see. Stevenson. Yeah, so right now I have Zay Flowers at 30 in my flex rank. I have Deontay Johnson as my 31. I have Ramondre as my 34. So of the players that you mentioned, Flowers number 1, Deontay number 2, Ramondre number 3, Javonte number 4, Khalil number 5, Keaton number 6. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate it. Where are we at? JT has a question. Says RB2 in flex, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Pacheco. Assuming it's a full PPR, I'd probably play both of the Rams players, Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. If it's a half PPR, I'll take both running backs. Even if it's a standard league, I'll take both running backs. Thank you. Kennifer says, full PPR, Dell, Jacobs, Henry, Bijan, Puka, bench 1. Dell, Jacobs, Henry, Bijan, Puka. In a PPR, damn. I think it's either between Jacobs or Puka that sits. Let me see. Jacobs is, where is he? In my full PPR rankings, I have Jacobs at 24 and Nacua at 25. So Nacua takes the bench spot this week. I'd play Dell, Jacobs, Henry, and Bijan ahead of Puka this week in a full PPR. Thank you. Okay. Where are we at? Okay. You done? Are you done? You done 4. You done 4. Okay. Says Khalil Herbert or Josh Downs half PPR. Let me check real quick. Let's see. Half PPR rankings. Herbert. Here we go. So I have Khalil Herbert there. And who's the alternative option again? Josh Downs. I have Khalil Herbert ahead of Josh Downs. Khalil Herbert 51, Josh Downs 57, half PPR. Thank you. Southern Dog sends in a question. Thank you, Southern. Southern Dog says 2 wide receivers and a flex full PPR. Nico Collins, Adam Thielen, Josh Downs, Devontae Smith, Kyron Williams, or Chris Godwin. 2 wide receivers and a flex. Okay, so of the available, the flex that I'm playing is, so you have Thielen, Collins, Smith. I think, hold up. Full PPR. Devontae Smith is there. Okay. Where's Thielen and Collins? Okay. So my suggestion for this week, full PPR. Let me check again real quick. Where's Kyron? Perfect. So my suggestion, Southern Dog, would be Thielen, Nico Collins, Kyron Williams this week. Thank you. Scrolling down, we had a question that came in from, where the heck is the question? Here it is. Landon Ramirez. Thank you, Landon. Says Edwards, Pacheco, Collins, Flowers, RB, wide receiver flex. Edwards, Pacheco, Collins, Flowers. Out of the bunch, in a full PPR capacity, it's probably, let me see, do I have Flowers ahead of either of those running backs? Flowers. I do not. So my suggestion would be to play Edwards, Pacheco, and Collins. Thank you. Flotation Swag says, I posted it on Twitter. Got it. Okay, Flotation, what do we got here? Derek Carr. You got to start Tommy DeVito this week? Wait. You have Will Levis. Why don't, wait. Huh? I play Will Levis there as your quarterback too. I would not play Tommy DeVito against New England. I have no interest in doing so. As for your running backs, Gus Edwards and Singletary, that's good to go. Olave, you have Diggs remaining as well. Okay, good to go. You have Ravens defense. Anything on your bench that's worth a damn. Odell Beckham could be a playable option. So is Taysom Hill, but you already have played Kittle, which is fine. I would have done the same. Odell Beckham Jr., do I alternate him for any of these other options? Nope. So the only suggestion I would make, Flotation, is Will Levis ahead of Tommy DeVito. I literally have Tommy DeVito as my last ranked quarterback on the week. My lowest ranked quarterback. I do not like the idea of playing him against Bill Belichick's defense. King Shakur 21 says, Sub Drew, pick a defense. Ravens, Patriots, Vikings. Between the 3, I'll take the Patriots. That's why the Patriots are my number 1 defense, guys. Like, I don't trust Tommy DeVito at all to be able to get himself a high volume of fantasy points. As for running backs, Pacheco and Singletary on, what does it say? Pacheco and Singletary, bench Madison, Ty Chandler. Okay. 1 wide receiver. Okay. Dell or Pop Douglas. Okay. So this is the way I would go about it, King Shakur. Patriots defense, Pacheco over Singletary. But if it's between Singletary, Madison, Ty Chandler, fine, play Singletary as well. So Pacheco and Singletary would be the running back plays. Dell over Pop Douglas and Lutz over Prater. Thank you. Moving on to a question that came in from George Garcia. Thank you very much, George. I appreciate it. It says full PPR, Bijan Robinson or Michael Pittman Jr. Let me check here. I'm fairly certain it's Pittman. It is Pittman. I have Pittman as my number 13 and Bijan as my number 14. But they are separated by a tier in my full PPR rankings. So Pittman is the solidified play for me there. They're back-to-back ranked, so if you want to play Bijan, you can, but I like the upside of getting himself a lot of receptions against a defense that has definitely struggled against wide receivers as like the second best matchup of the position with no Jamel Dean back there. The Buccaneers are definitely exposed in their secondary. All right, let's see here. Aldair Flores sends in a question. Says, choose two, Mixon, Ramondre, Thielen, half PPR. Thank you. Between the three in a half PPR, it's just between Mixon and Thielen for me in terms of flex because I have Ramondre ranked higher. Mixon, I have ranked. Where's Thielen in comparison? I have Thielen and Stevenson ahead of him. I take both those options there. Thank you. We had a question that came in from Die92, DAI, spelled Die. I'm currently 6-5. I have Lamar Jackson, Austin Eckler, Kyron Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman Jr., and Devin Singletary on my bench. I'm starting. Is my starting lineup okay as is? I'm starting the Broncos defense. I don't see a problem with it. Lamar's a top quarterback option. Eckler's great. Kyron Williams is great. CeeDee Lamb's already played. He played well. Ayuk played well. He both scored touchdowns. Pittman is great. You have Devin Singletary on your bench. Yeah, I'd leave him on your bench. I'd rather play the other alternative options there. Die. Thank you. And Broncos defense is top 3, as you can see on screen. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question from Eddie James, who says, Browns or Patriots defense this week? Patriots. Thank you. Appreciate it, Eddie. Southern Dog had a follow-up question. Says, full PPR, looking at matchups, are we starting Hurts or Dobbs at quarterback? Jalen Hurts. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question from Harris, who says, full PPR, Jacobs, Nico Collins, Addison, McBride, or Gus? Whew. Goodness gracious. You're making my life difficult, huh? Nico Collins in comparison to the bunch. Let me see here. I have Josh Jacobs ranked ahead of him. So that's what I would go with. I'll take Josh Jacobs out of the group. Thank you there, Harris. Appreciate it. After Harris's question, we had one that was sent in from Colin Smith. Thank you, Colin. It says, asking for permission to drop Mark Andrews? Yes, you can. Because if you play in a Week 17 championship, I would say that there's no likelihood that he returns by then. He had surgery. It doesn't seem like he'd be able to recover fast enough unless he's a superhuman. Wouldn't say that, he's not a superhuman. I mean, he plays in the NFL. You got to be a superhuman to play in the league. But yeah, I would probably say yes. He's very much so droppable. Cash says Ridley or Collins. I'll take Ridley there. James Cook has a ton of talent, but Allen takes all the goal line work. Yeah, I mean, that's as exact and on point as it could possibly be there, G. Cardiac Jones sends in a question. Says, you answered my question yesterday. I just wanted a game time decision between Gus Edwards and Nico Collins full PPR. Yeah, let me go ahead and let me check my updated rankings just so I can have it as such. Nico Collins, number 26, Gus Edwards, 29. They're close, and like we talked about it, they're definitely close, but yeah, I'll take Nico Collins there, full PPR. Thank you, Cardiac. Hood Blaze says, can you answer my second chat question? I need a dub. Okay, let's see here. Control F, Hood. Your second chat question. Who has a better game, Deontay Johnson or Devontae Adams, Steelers or Patriots? Okay, so of the two questions, I prefer Devontae Adams over Deontay Johnson. And for Steelers or Patriots, I prefer the Patriots defense. Thank you. Appreciate it. Scrolling down. What do we got here? Angela Clark says, hi, Andrew. Really appreciate all that you do. Okay, thank you very much, Angela. I appreciate that. Thank you. Full PPR. Need to. Rashad White, Puka Nacua, Adam Thielen. Out of the three, I think Rashad White kind of has to play. As for Puka and Thielen, I have Puka at 12 and I have Thielen at 14. So they're close, but as of right now, yeah, I will take Rashad White and I will take Puka Nacua this week. Thank you. Moving on to a question that came in from Sam Castillo. Thank you, Sam. PPR, pick 2, Pickens, Dortch, Roschon Johnson, Dameon Pierce, Zeke. If I'm picking 2 of the 5, yeah, I'll play both of the wide receivers. Give me George Pickens, give me Greg Dortch there. Thank you. We had a question from iShine101. iShine, thank you. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, iShine. Says, hey, Drew, need upside in a 10-team full PPR. Pick 1, Bijan Robinson, David Njoku, Cortland Sutton, or Chris Godwin, or Isaiah Likely. Nervous about Bijan a bit. Really the coach, LOL, not him. Yeah. I think that the volume of opportunity that Bijan was given in week 10 against the Arizona Cardinals, 22 rushing attempts, had 95 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, had himself a sprinkle of receiving work. The volume of rushing opportunity that was given to him, I think that was the crowning moment of, hey, this is going to be the guy that we give all of, or 70+% of the rushing upside to going forward. Tyler Algier is going to play a consistent second fiddle. Instead of being like, hey, we're going to give Bijan, 14 attempts and Tyler Algier 11. Instead of that being the split, I think it'll continue to be for the remainder of the season like a 20-8 split. 22 if they run the ball more because of a positive game script, it can go from 20 to 25. It could go from Tyler Algier going from 8 to 14 rushing attempts. You never know. I've seen that team specifically last season run the ball like 35 times in a singular game with their running backs. It's not out of the realm of possibility that could take place, but I wouldn't be nervous about playing Bijan Robinson, especially in comparison to those alternative options you have. Really, those alternative options are all like super dependent on, like Sutton has a terrible matchup. Likely is touchdown dependent. Njoku is touchdown dependent. Actually, Njoku at least gets himself like 6 catches, 60 yards, which is solid, 12 points. But I still do believe that Bijan Robinson is the better option. And now that you have Desmond Ridder in the offense, he was more inclined to target Bijan out of the backfield as well. Thank you. Someone asked in the chat, Barkley or Taylor. Again, I have Taylor as my number 2 and Barkley as my number 8 on screen. So again, rankings that are on screen up to date as of this morning. Again, they are for a half PPR scoring format, 4 point per passing touchdown. So keep that in mind. The rankings on screen should be able to help you answer questions in regards to a, interpositional half PPR. I know some of you playing a full, some of you playing a standard. Hopefully, by answering your question directly or somebody else's by proxy, we can answer your question. Or hopefully, the rankings on screen can kind of lead you in the right direction. Let's see here. Jason Arroyo says, 0.2 PPR. So 0.2, you get 0.2 per reception. Okay. Sit 1, Kupp, Nakua, Jaylen Warren. 0.2 per reception. So if you catch the ball 10 times, you're literally going to get 2 points. So pretty much at this point, wait, what the? Yeah, if you catch the ball 10 times, you're going to get 2 points. Honestly, I'm more inclined, Jason, in your scenario, to play both Rams receivers just to ensure I get all of the upside there. But damn. I'm inclined to play both, but if it's my team, I probably play Kupp and Jaylen Warren in that kind of a format. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Sean R. Sean, where's your question, my man? Let's see here. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Control F, Sean R. Sean says flex, PPR, Jacobs, Flowers, Gus Edwards, PPR. Between the 3 of them, I believe I have Josh Jacobs ranked the highest. I do. Thank you for your question, Sean. Apollo X Light says, full PPR, JT or Rachaad White? JT, thank you. Moving on to Brian's question. Brian, if I could pronounce your last name, I would. Brian Percast. That's as far as I'll go there. Thank you, Brian. Offered Flowers for Kincaid, full PPR. I have Kelsey. You were offered Flowers for Kincaid. In a full PPR, you already have Kelsey. I would like to secure someone that's a little bit more consistent. Yeah, I'd want somebody more consistent, especially if you're giving away a tight end. Look, I don't disagree with the idea of trading Kincaid in this scenario. You have Kelsey remainder of the season, you're good to go. Kincaid will eventually have Dawson Knox come back and impact his fantasy success from week 14 and beyond. But of course, I still expect Kincaid to be the number 2 of this offense. If you can't get anybody that's more consistent, I'm fine with it as long as you need wide receiver depth. Pedro Rodriguez says, which 2 should I start? Allen, Diggs, Dell, PPR. In a full PPR scoring format, I have them ranked Allen number 1, Diggs number 2, Dell number 3. Thank you. We had a question from Anthony who says, PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, Cooper, Hunt, London, must win. 1 point per reception. If we need wow. I think I probably end up playing London alongside of, do I have Cooper or Hunt higher? Kareem Hunt is there, and Amari Cooper is ahead of him. Correct. So I played both wide receivers, Amari Cooper and Drake London there. Anthony, thank you. Jay sends in a question with 2 Ys, says Thielen or Mike Evans. I'll take Mike Evans there this week. Thank you. Peter sends in a question, says PPR flex, Mondre, Warren, Addison. I'll take Mondre there. Appreciate it, Peter. Thank you. We had a question from Anthony once again. Follow-up says Henry or Otten is a good pickup for next week. I like Cade Otten. He continues to get more and more utilization, so I'll take Cade Otten in that scenario. Thank you. Evan Ingram or Taysom Hill in a full PPR. Let me check who I have ranked higher. I have Evan Ingram ahead of Taysom Hill in a full PPR. Thank you. JD says Deontay, Connor, Hopkins, pick 2, full PPR. I'll take Deontay and Hopkins there. Thank you. Nathan Salazar says Patriots or Browns defense. I have the Patriots as my highest ranked defense of the week. Thank you. Or remaining defense of the week. Technically, I had Miami as number 1 and Patriots as number 2. Chris Kreider says plugged in Dolphins defense. Thanks, man. Congratulations. You see, on topic, perfectly matched up. Boom. Yeah. I mean, listen, weren't we all lucky that they decided to throw a Hail Mary when the quarterback couldn't literally get it to the end zone? Can you imagine being a coach and not knowing if your quarterback could throw the ball that distance and then he throws it short for a pick 6? I mean, imagine. Can we see defensive rankings as well? Yes. I'll go ahead and transition that. Thank you very much. As for your follow-up question, Harris or Downs in a full PPR, I probably end up playing Josh Downs there. Let me confirm. Okay. Yeah, Josh Downs. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris. Okay. Where are we at here? Where are we at? Hi, Andrew. Which combo should I go with this week? Cleveland or Denver defense? As of right now, I have Denver as number 3, Cleveland as number 5. They're both pretty solid, but I do prefer Denver because of the quarterback play. Lutz or Hopkins, I prefer. So pretty much in both those scenarios, I prefer the Denver side. Let me actually check. Let me see where the odds are on this game. I'm going to go to the public betting. Let's see here. So in terms of straight money line, where is this game looking like? Denver versus, where's Denver? Denver versus, so as of right now, people have the Cleveland Browns winning 46% of the money, 58% of the money, 46% of the bets. Interesting. They expect the Cleveland Browns to win. I don't know if I see it as the same, but hey, time will tell. Either way, I do prefer both those other options that I mentioned. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from, we took care of Nathan, we took care of Chris, we took care of that. Good to go. We're scrolling down. We had a question that came in from Carlos Luna. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it. Carlos says 6 point per passing touchdown. Jake Browning or Kenny Pickett? Honestly, I would play Kenny Pickett. I don't love it, but I'd rather play him. I mean, Kenny Pickett's awful, but I'm going to hope that the change of offensive coordinator makes a huge difference, which is obviously what I'm expecting. Noah Billhorn says, full PPR, 4 point per passing touchdown. CJ Stroud or Fields. Again, the rankings that are on screen as of right now are for a 4 point per passing touchdown league. I have Fields at 5, CJ Stroud at 6. If you prefer CJ Stroud, you can go with him. Otherwise, I prefer Justin Fields on Monday night. Let's see here. Okay, we're good to go. Okay. A couple reminders. For those of you who are joining us this morning, welcome. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving week, etc. All those holidays. Hopefully you guys hit up the your Black Friday sales, all that kind of jazz. Cyber Monday's coming up. You can take care of that. A couple reminders. If you guys haven't clicked the like button, do me a favor, do that. I appreciate it. Definitely does help out a lot in terms of supporting the channel, in terms of the algorithm, all that kind of jazz. Thank you. Gus Edwards or Josh Jacobs. Again, Mike, the ranking on screen as of right now has Josh Jacobs at 11 and Gus Edwards at 12. So that's the direction I'd go with. Moby1 says, hey, Andrew, PPR, Nakua or Kyron Williams? I'm fairly certain I have Kyron Williams ranked higher. I do. I have Kyron Williams ranked higher in a full PPR. Good morning. Thoughts on Gus the Bus Edwards rest of the season? Let's just hope he keeps scoring touchdowns, because if he slows down anytime soon, he's going to hurt pretty badly for our fantasy teams. But hey, man, he's kind of like the Jamal Williams of this season. Just touchdown upside every week. JT or Kyron, Mac. I would play JT there easily. Oh, let's see here. What do we have? Swift or Tank Dell? What's the scoring format? Ford or Nico Collins PPR? I take Nico there. Trevor says, all right, Trevor, what do we have here? Says flex, Devontae Smith or James Cook. I'd rather play Devontae Smith there. Thank you, Trevor. Anyone in the chat have an opinion on Douglas or Khalil Herbert half PPR? Anybody have an opinion for that? You know what? Now that we're on the topic, let's throw it in there. Who should we play in a half PPR? Question is Douglas or Herbert? Right, that's the question. Cool. Let's start the poll. Let's see what the chat says. G-Falls. All right, Michael Lewis in the chat was saying Rondell Moore or Quentin Johnston. I'd rather play Rondell Moore. Quentin Johnston I don't see it. Todd sends in a question, says pick 2. Bijan Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Michael Pittman Jr. Probably Bijan and Kupp. Yeah, Bijan Kupp. If it's a full PPR, I'd probably go Pittman and Kupp. But in a half, yeah, it's Bijan. Hill or Ingram in a half PPR. Again, the rankings on screen are for a half PPR. Evan Ingram sits at number 11. Taysom Hill is at number 8, so I would take Taysom Hill there. Is Lamar hurt? No, he's not hurt. He's not even on the practice report. Look, this is how it works, right? Legally, there's a reason why there's an investigation in regards to Joe Burrow, right? Remember how everyone, like, many of you have maybe heard, like, Dave Portnoy is trying to make a class action lawsuit and all that kind of jazz. The National Football League, you are legally binded to declare a player, if hurt, onto the injury report. Okay, they're legally binded. They will lose draft picks. They will be fined as a team, and they will definitely have a lot of things taken away from them. There's a lot of instances in the last couple of years in which that's occurred. Lamar Jackson is literally not on the actual injury report, the official one. So in no circumstance is he injured. I don't want to hear anything about him being injured. None of this false narratives, please. Moving on, we had a question from, so we took care of Carlos Luna. We were going Pickett there. Noah, I suggested Fields over Stroud, but if you want to play Stroud, I don't mind it. JD sends in a question, says, why Hopkins over Connor? Thoughts on Connor? Yeah, Connor doesn't get enough receiving utilization, and unless he scores a touchdown, it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to outscore Hopkins, primarily because they take on Carolina. JC Horn's potentially inactive, doubtful, didn't practice on Friday, and or was limited on Friday. And then we know that Jeremy Chin, one of their starting safeties, is out. CJ Henderson, another one of their starting corners, also doubtful, potentially could miss. On top of that, entirely, considering they play against the Carolina Panthers, it's most likely going to be a game in which Derrick Henry finds a lot of success when the team has to stop the run, fill the box. Again, Derrick Henry taking on 8+ defenders in the box 42+% of the time. A lot of opportunity for DeAndre Hopkins in the play action game in order to find himself open in comparison to Connor, who truly does 100% need to score a touchdown. Like, let's say, for example, last week he had 60 rushing yards. Let's say he gets 60 again. He needs a touchdown to even meet the baseline of DeAndre Hopkins, getting himself like 6 catches, 60 yards. And then DeAndre Hopkins has even more upside because of the potential as a receiver and yards after the catch. Jason Somers says, full PPR, start 2, Tank Dell, DJ Moore, Mike Evans. I'll take Dell and Moore there this week. Dell and Moore. My opponent is projected to win by 30, and I need upside. The rankings change in a half or full PPR. No, between those three, it does not. I'll still play Dell, and I'll still take DJ Moore there. Thank you. Antonio Haskell says, good morning, Andrew. Cook this up for your boy. I have a full PPR, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. We have Ramondre Stevenson, we have Henry, we have Ford, we have Pacheco, we have Sutton, we have Allen, we have Kupp, we have DJ Moore, we have Rice, we have Odell. Okay, so Keenan Allen and Cooper Kupp have to play as your wide receivers there, Antonio. As for your running backs, it has to be Derrick Henry and Isaiah Pacheco as your 1-2. As for the flex of the available options that you have, I'd play Pacheco there. So again, RBs, Henry and Pacheco as your RB 1 and 2. Kupp and Allen as your wide receiver 1 and 2. Ramondre as your flex. Thank you. All right, we had a question that came in from 1023 Entertainment. It says Jacobs, Mondre, Kyron Williams, start 2 half PPR. I take Jacobs and Kyron Williams. Thank you. Moving on to Junior. Junior, where's your question, man? Control F. Where's Junior? Junior says, good morning. Do I play Deontay Johnson, Khalil Herbert, or Kareem Hunt full PPR? Deontay Johnson there. Thank you. Moving on to Brendo's question. Brendo says, always my go-to source for last-minute roster questions. Dobbs or Murray in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. I need to drop one of them or Howell rest of season. Okay, let's figure out what we're doing for right now. Rest of season, rest of season might be Howell getting dropped. That being said, for now, between Murray and Dobbs in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, I got to think about this because right now I have Dobbs ahead of him. I think I probably just keep Dobbs there in terms of because they take on Chicago. It'll be tougher to run the ball. Yeah, I'd probably still play Dobbs there in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. Thank you, Junior. Thank you, Brendo. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Clement, who says, pick 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers in a flex. We have Henry, Ford, Hunt. We have Connor, Puka, Cup, Kincaid, and Dell. Okay, so Henry is RB1, and Ford is RB2. Cup is wide receiver 1. Dell is wide receiver 2. Flex is Puka Nacua. Good to go. Appreciate it, Clement. Yes, I would ignore, what does it say? Do I ignore higher rank if I have 2 players in a good matchup? It depends. But for right now, considering you can start Henry, Ford. Oh, you don't have a Oh, I see what it is. You have Kincaid there. Yeah, I'm benching Kincaid. I'd rather play Cup, Puka, Dell, Henry, and Ford. Thank you. Ramblin' Man sends in a question. Ramblin' Man, where are you at? Ramblin' Man says, I have Jefferson, Addison, and Smith. Okay. Be safe and play Smith or wait and see if Jefferson plays and pivot to Addison if not. I'm losing to Dak currently. If it's me, I just play Devontae Smith. I honestly don't think Justin Jefferson plays primarily because they have a bye week next week. That's my biggest concern. And if, yeah, I'd rather just play it safe and take the upside of Devontae Smith there. Okay, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Jaden Oliver, who says Sutton or Ridley, half PPR. Ridley, thank you. iShine101 had a follow-up question, says pick one in the flex, half PPR, Sutton, Hunt, or Njoku. Between those 3, I have David Njoku, if I'm not mistaken, ranked the highest. Let me confirm this. Half PPR, Njoku. Yeah, I have Njoku ranked the highest out of those 3. Thank you. Moving on to Matthew Wallace. Matthew says the following. Says James Cook or Josh Downs. Is there a scoring format attached to this, Matthew? Half PPR. Cool. Let me check. Let's go half PPR. James Cook. James Cook at 41. Josh Downs way lower. I'll take James Cook there in a half PPR. Thank you, Matthew Wallace. We had a question that came in from EM Kicks, who says full PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Ridley, Collins, Warren. I'll take Ridley and Collins there in a full PPR. Thank you. Patriots defense or Browns defense? David Evans. I'd take Patriots today. OBJ or Downs in a half PPR, it's OBJ. In a full PPR, it's Downs. Singletary or Connor, half PPR, I'll take Connor. Thank you. What's the weather, Andrew? Let's check. Let's check. Here we go. Looking at the weather, I mean, okay. The way that I'm determining the weather in Cincinnati is by literally looking at one of 2 things. Publicly posted people that are literally at the stadium, that are like in the stands and they're taking videos of themselves, they're posting on Twitter, all that kind of jazz. And the videos that the teams officially post, there is no rain in sight. It's a cold game, don't get it wrong, but it's no rain in sight as of right now. So still, we continue with the rankings that are on screen. Good to go. Scrolling down after EM Kicks question, we had one from Matthew Rosado who says kicker and defense rankings, please. Yes, sir. There it is. Boom. A question that came in from I'm Black says full PPR McBride or Drake London. Let me check who I have ranked higher. I'm fairly certain I have McBride ranked higher in a full PPR capacity. McBride is there and Drake London's there. Yeah, I have Trey McBride ranked higher there. Thank you for your question. Douglas, Herbert, or Gabe Davis? Full PPR. I'd rather play Douglas there. So as of right now, half PPR question, G Fall, who was asking that earlier, 54% on the side of Herbert, 46% side on on the side of Douglas. Thank you for everyone who participated in that. Thank you for all of you who have joined us this morning, are asking questions, answering questions in the chat for one another, supporting the channel in any sort of regard. I greatly appreciate you guys being members of this community. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. Start Shaheed or wait for JJ till Monday Night Football? I mean, at this point, I mean, what's your alternative on Monday Night Football? You're going to play Mooney? Like, at that point, I'd rather just play Shaheed and hope he scores. Downs or Ridley? Ridley. Evans or Jalen Warren? Evans. Deontay Johnson, James Cook, or Devontae Smith? Pick 2. I'd probably play both wide receivers. Devontae Smith and Deontay Johnson. Mark Levin. Brandon says half PPR pick 2, Cup, Jacobs, DJ Moore. I'd probably play both wide receivers. Higher times 420 says James Cook or Demario Douglas. Depends. Depends on format. Scoring format. Rain in Steelers game is supposed to start in the second quarter. That being the case, keep that in mind, everyone, before you make your decisions. Tight end rankings? Yes. Let's go ahead and switch back. Sorry. Alrighty. Let's see here. Okay. Couple reminders, okay? Couple reminders. Again, for those of you who are joining this morning, thank you. I do appreciate you guys supporting the channel with your presence, clicking the like button, asking questions, answering questions. Appreciate it. Couple reminders. Again, if you guys have signed up via Underdog Fantasy since August 1st of 2023 till yesterday midnight, those rankings have already been sent in your direction. That will already be in your email kind of inbox, whether it's in your spam folder or in your main inbox that is associated with the Underdog account. Again, guys, if you guys want to get my rankings every single Sunday morning, which are by position, by tier, flex rankings, half PPR, full PPR, all-encompassing rankings, includes all of the rankings at all different positions. If you guys are interested in that, all you got to do is check out Underdog Fantasy, link down in the description. Sign up using code Andrew first and foremost, but all you need is one first-time deposit of $10, and that is it. As long as you do that, you get those rankings every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season. Also, a couple things I wanted to remind you guys of. As of right now, we're having a 25% off sale on all hoodies via the apparel of the 1.01 brand. There's a link down in the description that will take you to andrewkirchhoffshop.com. If you guys are interested in supporting that way, or of course, getting yourself the merchandise / apparel, totally up to you. There's a link down in the description. Once you travel there, all the hoodies are 25% off. So if you add it to your cart, the immediate 25% reduction / discount is applied. It won't be applied as the official logo because it's difficult to change it on the website. But if you click it and add it to your cart, it's there. But if you guys are interested, check that out. The sale ends on Monday, and those pieces of merch will be retired after Monday. Thank you. All right, Justin Fields or Dobbs? I have Fields ranked higher. Again, rankings on screen pretty much are giving you guys a lot of the ideas as to where I would go. Swift or Olave, PPR. I'm still going to probably play Swift there. I don't have a hard time not playing him. Mike Evans or Josh Jacobs, full PPR, Mike Evans. Deontay Johnson or James Conner, Deontay Johnson. Mike Evans, Ridley, Olave, pick 2. Who do I have ranked higher on screen? I have Evans and I have Olave ranked higher. The Mad Capper says, Warren or Pacheco? Full PPR. Is the ranking a huge difference? In a full PPR, I have Pacheco. He moves up because Jerick McKinnon, if you guys don't know, is out today. And so is McCole Hardman and Kadarius Toney. There's just more work for, the potential of Pacheco in the receiving game. Okay, so in a full PPR, currently, I have Pacheco at 12 and Warren at 16. So, it doesn't make that much of a difference in comparison to what it is now. It extends, if anything, compared to the half PPR. So, still prefer Pacheco there. Can I get those rankings without Underdog? Yeah, you can check out Patreon. There's a link in the description. If you go and you sign up, it's a monthly subscription. You can sign up for 1 month, and then immediately the next day you can cancel it, but then have it for the next 30 days. You can get those rankings there. Hakeem says Deontay Johnson or James Conner. Yeah, it's Deontay. LA Made 99 says Henry or Kyron Williams. Henry or Kyron? Yeah, it's Henry. Derrick Henry. 10 points per, 10 yards per point, 6 points per touchdown. Yeah, Henry. Thank you, LA Made. Ridley or Edwards in a full PPR? I'd probably take Ridley there. Yeah, I would take him. Thoughts on A.T. Perry and his potential? If he plays a solid amount, like if they legitimately utilize him within the Mike Thomas role, and they're not going to get more utilization out of Rashid Shaheed there, he should be a solid play. But that being said, If you guys remember the last couple weeks of Michael Thomas and his overall production has been very much so lacking in terms of overall opportunity of targets. So I wouldn't put too much, I wouldn't put too much into it. I'd have to wait and see until they really want to get him heavily involved. There's just so many mouths to feed within that offense. It is difficult to trust anybody outside of an Olave, Taysom Hill, or Alvin Kamara. Dejuan Golden says, Gus still over Mixon full PPR. Yes. Reason? Yeah, touchdown upside, purely. There's a higher likelihood that Gus Edwards scores 2 touchdowns today than Mixon scores 1. Jaden Oliver says, likely over Hill, but I wanted to start Hill. LOL. Yeah, start Hill then. I don't have a problem with that. Again, they're literally back-to-back in my rankings, so I do expect them to both play well. If you have a gut feeling about Hill, fire him up. Chill Will says, why Ridley over Chase? Primarily because of Zay Jones' overall, presence. Anytime Zay Jones has played this season, when you have an alternative option as an X receiver on the other side of the field, it does open up opportunities because they don't get to, double cover Ridley for the entirety of the game. Like, in comparison, right, earlier this season, when you have Ridley on one side of the field and there's no Zay Jones on the opposite side, you're playing someone like, what's his name? Goodness gracious. Why is the name eluding me? Who's the other? Agwell. Agwell? Is it Agwell? Who's the receiver? Agnew. Jamal Agnew. That's what it is. Like, there's no reason for anybody to double cover Jamal Agnew in any circumstance in comparison to Zay Jones, who can obviously muster up some noise on the other side of the field. And the reason why I don't like Chase is because of Jake Browning, purely. Cody Shannon says, Nakua or Swift in the flex? I'll take Swift there. Hank Hennig says, full PPR, Kincaid or Deontay Johnson? Thanks. Let me check. We have 6 minutes. Let's see here. Full PPR, Kincaid. I have Deontay Johnson ahead of Kincaid this week. Thank you. If you're worried about if the rain is going to be an issue, then of course you play Kincaid instead. But again, looks like it's like overcast for right now. Albert sends in a question, says start 2 PPR. Warren, Flowers, or Warren? Albert, did you mess up the question? Albert says, sorry, Javonte. Got it. I would play Flowers, and I would play in a full PPR. I'd probably play Warren over. Yeah, I'll go Warren and Flowers there. Thank you. BT says, good morning. You think it's worth dropping the Browns defense for the Patriots for rest of season in 2 must-win weeks? As of right now, I would say the Cleveland Browns, I think their schedule going forward is probably better. So I wouldn't drop it just for 1 week. Let's see here. Schedule, Cleveland Browns. They have LA Rams next week after Denver. They have Jacksonville. What is New England Patriots? Patriots, honestly, I'd probably rather have the Patriots defense going forward for the next couple weeks into the fantasy playoff start. Ben Chesler says 14-man league, half PPR, 2 flex options. Traded Waddle for Hurts. Okay. My quarterback is T-Law and Carr. My wide receivers are. So you trade Waddle for Hurts? Question mark. I see. It's a question. Okay. So your quarterbacks are Trevor Lawrence and Derek Carr. Your wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, Waddle, and Puka and Tank. Okay. Nico Collins as well. Yeah. I would make the trade. I don't want to trust Derek Carr to win me my league. I'd rather just have Jalen Hurts there. Thank you. Okay. Does Swift become a better rank in the rain? I think that the rain just implies that they run the ball more. I don't know if he's ranked any higher, potentially. Okay, can you please help to start DJ Moore or Bijan Robinson? Okay, let's see here. Bijan in a half PPR is ranked higher than DJ Moore. In a full PPR, Bijan is ranked lower than DJ Moore. Okay, so standard half PPR, Bijan, full PPR, DJ Moore. Thank you. Let's see here. Rain in Cincy says Farmer. Let's see here. Let's take a little refresh here. How's it looking? It's probably going to eventually rain. As to how hard it rains, I mean, considering it's not raining now, again, I can't predict the future in terms of rain. I can't predict the future in terms of fantasy. I mean, there's no 100% accuracy to any of this. All I know is that, all the research that I've done, all that we've seen in terms of, what's in front of us is what we have available in terms of this weather. Hopefully, we just have less rain than we're anticipating. Madison or London? I'll take London there, Max. Ridley or Pacheco in the flex. Half PPR standard, probably Pacheco. Full PPR, Ridley. Nico Collins over Chase, full PPR. I'm comfortable with that. Terry says, what do you think about this? I dropped T. Higgins and Godwin for ATL and Texans defense for the next 2 weeks. Jets game. My wide receivers are Wilson. Yeah, that's fine. You have comparable enough wide receivers to be able to get the job done. That's fine by me. In a standard league, who would you rather start, Nico Collins or Michael Pittman? Michael Pittman. Okay, we had a question that came in from Crazy Legs 225. Says, why Ramondre Stevenson over JC? JC seems to be ramping up. Who the heck? James Conner? Oh, geez, no. Look, he might be ramping up, but he needs a lot of receiving potential for him to be able to be a better player than Ramondre. Because not only does Ramondre have the better matchup against the New York Giants, especially with now that Dexter Lawrence, their primary nose tackle, gone. That was primarily their only run-stop defense. So better matchup, less opportunity in terms of a whole in terms of rushing attempts, but more receiving work, which in the grand scheme just is worth more. Just saw the TV rain gear getting soaked. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at it on Twitter. I don't have an actual like live look because I'm not looking at a TV, but you guys know what to do. If it's raining, avoid it. If it's not, play it. DeAndre Thompson says Collins or Jacobs full PPR. Let me check my rankings. Jacobs. I have Jacobs 2 spots ahead of Collins, 24 compared to 26. So I would take Jacobs there, DeAndre. Thank you. Thank you. Antonio Haskell says 2 running backs, 1 flex. Barkley, Pacheco, Javonte Williams, and Warren. Barkley, Pacheco have to play. Between Javonte Williams and Warren, I'll probably take Jalen Warren there this week. Thank you. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. It's 9:59, and we're off and away. I appreciate y'all coming out, supporting the channel. For those of you who have clicked the like button, thank you. For those of you who have just shown up with your presence, didn't even click the like button, maybe click the dislike button. Doesn't matter. It all helps the algorithm. I appreciate y'all in terms of supporting the channel. For those of you who sent in super chats, greatly appreciate that. I'll be back tomorrow with some waiver wire pickups for the disastrous Week 13 Bye-pocalypse. 6 teams on bye next week, guys. Keep that in mind. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the games. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for a high-scoring game. And let's, of course, hope for no injuries, please. All right, guys. I'm going to cue the music. I appreciate y'all. Until tomorrow, I'll see you guys. Thank you very much. Peace.